Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 2021 SOMIFA season predictions / preview show. I'm joined by a cast of heroes here. We got former defending champion Nathan Baylor, former champion Tim Bollier, and Michael Reeves, who is a future champion.
Wow, that's sweet of you.
Everybody say hello, and let's. We're going to go through the teams, put our 2 cents out there, get most of them wrong, but we'll have a good time doing it.
Can we do it Three Stooges style? You know, hello, hello, hello. Anything?
Hello.
Hello.
Sure. I think you just did. Okay. So I have the predictions up here. We're going to just go alphabetical order. We'll show them up afterward, but we'll start with the Arizona Cardinals. Tim, you were going to take kick us off here and talk about the Cardinals.
Yeah, we can kind of rotate who goes first, but I did take a quick look at them before the show. This is a team that traded down and grabbed the best defensive player in the draft, Micah Parsons. So they've got a real star on the defensive side of the board now. Looks like their other linebackers are going to be a left linebacker 4, inside linebacker 4 types. So 4 zeros and not really much of a pass rush there. So mostly you're going to get it out of Parsons if he ends up playing there. Of course, he can play on the defensive line. They have another defensive end who's a 0-10 and a 4-7. So they don't have to have him on the defensive line. Defensive tackle, they may have a struggle at one of the positions. They've got Al Woods, 6'2", but the other defensive tackle is just going to be a 4-1. So they've got a little bit of a challenge on the inside there.
Well, I show him as having Al-Qadim Muhammad 4-7. So I wonder if he picked him up in the supplemental draft.
I've got him as a defensive end, though.
Yeah, he's running a 3-4, so
he's running
Woods will be in the middle.
Yeah, Woods will be a 5-2 nose tackle.
Yep, and so that'll be tied for the second best against the run. There's only 1-6, so that'll be very good for him. He's only got one good corner, really. Actually, he's got 2 4s, so he's got a couple of 5s at safety, 5-5s, and a 5-6 in Adrian Amos and Jeremy Chin. So he's got strong safeties. Border corners are something just about every team in the league is going to have a 4-4 or a 4-5. There's not a ton of teams that are going to be 6-6 or 6-5 or such. So not terrible. But he's got some pass rush, like I say, inside linebackers, all these 4 zeros and such. Hey, there's some big commodity on guys that are 4s at the moment against the pass. So it's not a terrible defense on the offensive side of the board. It's got not a great tight end situation, Swain, Trimble, Brock Wright, and such. So that's probably not going to be a strong factor for him. Wide receivers, another one, Kendrick Bourne, McCall Hardman. And at running back, Kamara's kind of got a little bit of an off year, I thought. Gaskin and Carson. Carson's kind of a good card, but, kind of limited attempts at 54. He's going to only give you really a half. So, and then you got a quarterback, and Drew Lock's not going to be one of the top ones. He's not going to kill you this year. He's one of those guys that's very usable, but, he got Zach Wilson in round 2. I've made a lot of points about Zach Wilson on the forum. I did consider him the second best prospect of the draft this year. Really like him a lot. I do worry about his injuries, but I think he got a huge steal at whatever 25 to get Zach Wilson. I mean, that's a great pickup to me. That's kind of how I see him.
Yeah, and we haven't really talked about the elephant in the room. He's got to start. It looks like he's starting Drew Lock as quarterback.
Yes, he will.
Over Zach Wilson. So his card kind of shaky. The interception splits on 10, and it's just not like a quarterback card you're excited to start with.
Yeah, if you could build it around a forget his name now, Jonathan Taylor, they'd be a little different, but there's not going to be a lot of run calls with Kamara this year, so that's going to put a lot of pressure on Locke, I think.
Sounds good. Okay, And I think you're right. I think one quick thing I wanted to ask about this team is, if you guys were running it, would you stick Micah Parsons on the defensive line, or do like Bob has and have him as a 5-5-12 for outside linebacker?
Take a look.
I kind of like having him starting as the outside linebacker, but maybe on third down situations, swap him down there for Chase Young and just take your chances with his zero outside linebacker. Especially if it's like you can move him to the spot that's covering the fullback that isn't in the game. That would be kind of a neat way to do it, to get him on the line for some sack chances more often than not. Or you could just blitz him a ton.
I do think there's a lot of value in having a great pass rusher like that be a natural pass rusher on the line versus you have to vacate a zone to get him into the pass rush. However, I believe his defensive end situation is solid enough without him, with a 0-10 and a 4-7, that I kind of like playing him at the outside linebacker like he's doing myself.
Makes sense. All right, well,
there's also a lot more weak guards in this set than there are tackles. So if you're blitzing, or that's what you want to get from him, it's not so bad to blitz him. And you can always move him up to the line against certain matchups, or maybe a quarterback who's not very good flat passing or doesn't have someone that you even care about covering. Then you could move him up there. I kind of like the option.
Yeah, I do that. That makes sense, and that's the way he's rated. Is defensive end, left outside linebacker. So you can move him to either defensive end spot, during a SOMIFA game if you see a matchup you want to exploit. So, but I do like him, like you said, going up against the guards as a blitzing linebacker.
And based on what he did in this draft, I think Bob would be happy, even though I'm not going to predict probably more than 4 or 5 wins. I think he'd be happy to hear me say, I think his defense is better than his offense now, and that's a team that's always kind of wanted to get better defensively. I kind of feel like, and I think he made a commitment to it. I think his defense is better now.
All right, and I think he had so many holes that he should be happy that he's going to fill them. I'm gonna kick us off on the predictions. I'm gonna go. We have 17 games now, right? I'm gonna go. Yep. I'm gonna go 3-14.
Okay.
A rebuilding year for Bob, and if Zach Wilson takes a step up, or Drew Lock somehow gets a chance and does well, he'll be happy.
Yeah, it's just the lack of offensive weapons to me that holds it back. I'll go 4-13.
Nathan?
I think he'll do a little better than that, just because Locke can be used as a ball possession guy. Kamara's actually pretty good on the end, even though he's terrible off tackle. I'm going to go 6-11.
Okay. Michael?
I'm going to go 4-13.
All right. So let's go on to Atlanta. Now, Tim had brought up an idea to talk about how things have changed as far as what values, what positions you value more or less as we've seen Strat evolve. So as you look at these teams, try to work in those thoughts. I mean, obviously one thing that's changed a lot in the last 5 years is the way linebackers are carded.
Yep.
So for me, it seems like there's such a premium on linebackers that's one of the positions that I try to look at, and that'll tell me, hey, if I got a good linebacker group, I might have a decent chance to compete this year. Whereas if I have a lot of zeros, it kind of discourages me or makes me want to get on the trade line really quick. So,
I've kind of gone the other way a little bit, where I just want the pass rush because I can't. I feel like my linebacker could be a total stud, and he's still going to get a 0 or 4. It almost doesn't even matter, unless you happen to get the guy in that right system, 4-3, where he's in coverage a lot, and then they give it to him. But I can't. I mean, you can't count on that. So I'll take a 4. Like Lorenzo Carr's a 4.47. I'd be perfectly happy with that. And I drafted, Tryon Shoyanka, thinking he could be something similar to that in the second round.
Yeah, you'd much rather play like a 0.47 than on an inside linebacker than a 4.40, for example.
Oh, yeah.
0.0.
if they're going to be crummy ratings, I want the pass rush for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's see. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, go ahead, Dennis.
No, I was just going to kick it to Atlanta and let Nathan talk about his team. But before we do that, let's hear your thought.
Yeah, I think you guys are right on with that. It's almost made me feel guilty sometimes if I've got like an older, like 4-0-0. I feel like I ought to trade them just due to the value you can get on the open market for them versus, it's worth a fourth now maybe versus a seventh 5 years ago and such. And it makes it, kind of a commodity. I kind of feel like I don't know if I'm really going to get enough value out of just having a guy that's a 4 over there other than middle linebacker. Some of the outside linebackers, it's almost to me like as long as I've got a 4 on the right linebacker or weak side linebacker spot, I'm almost okay with just kind of going into a season thinking I'll probably have a 0 on the left linebacker, but as long as he's a good pass rusher and not a 0 against the run, I'm okay with a 0-4 big pass rush. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think they're valued as much either unless you're in like one of those double counting leagues and you have to have that extra half point to pick up, go from average to good on your pass defense. Other than that, they're the only reason why a Malcolm Smith, like a 4.40 would have any value would be in a league like that.
Yeah.
That sounds. I like that. That makes a lot of sense. But like Nathan said, it's a crapshoot from year to year. So maybe it's good to trade those 4 zeros as long as they don't have a starting spot. Because come next year, they might get the lucky, 5.4-3 rating or something like that. I don't know.
I would say, it's became a position too. I go for less of the sniper approach and more of the shotgun approach, and just try to get 3 or 4 onto the roster that play that position and hope one of them gets, a 4-4 or 6 or something. I don't really try to think like Nathan was talking about that I'm going to be able to single out a guy that this guy's going to be a regular 5 against the pass and maybe a 6 sometime. Man, that's a real hard.
I don't want to invest in them for sure.
A thread right now to me. So.
I'd rather invest in more of a known commodity than, hoping that Strat's going to give out some 5s.
God, they're few and far between. You're right.
Yep.
All right. Well, that takes us over to the Falcons. Nathan, our defending champion, why don't you talk about your offseason plans, the big trade between you and Tim? I know you guys are planning to play early in the quarter since you're scheduled to kind of put the buyer's remorse or fear of missing out of the way, however you want to put it. So how are the Falcons looking?
I don't really honestly know what to expect from this team. I feel like when I have a good quarterback and actual targets to throw to, they don't have to be great, just capable, that I can automatically be, close to 8-8 if I have any kind of a line or anything like that. And Prescott looks good. His card looks really good. I played a game with him in S28 today. He was awesome. But I was rolling hot too. I picked up Murray. He's a real good runner, and I like that he's good guessed right too. I feel like you definitely want that option, especially in short yardage, goal line. You can really do anything. I also picked up Cordero Patterson for a lot of the passing matchups, specifically 3 receiver sets and against certain types of defenses with weak linebackers. I could take advantage of that too. I like matchups probably more sometimes than I like just stud players. So that's part of that trade. I might have overpaid for him a little, but I'm going to use him a lot. I tried to get Debo. I offered a lot. But
I was going to say Cordell Patterson's kind of like a Debo light, right? I mean,
he's very light. I can use him all the time though.
Right.
So that I don't mind. Managed to pick up a couple receivers when I had none after I traded off DK. These guys aren't bad. Devonta Smith and Tim Patrick are both pretty good cards. I'm not crazy about the tight ends though, or the pass blocking, and obviously the defense is up and down, just depending on how well I can play with them.
So let's talk real quick about the trade to get Dak Prescott. Obviously, he's one of the premium quarterbacks in the league, but you did give up premium players. You gave up DK Metcalf, Nick Bosa, Brian Allen, and Anthony Barr are more of the the appetizers in that main course of a trade. So no first round picks though, having to give up. Obviously, you use first round picks to get those guys, but talk to us a little bit about how the trade discussions happened.
I think I just sent him a trade offer, and then we haggled for about 10 emails. But I mean, I pretty much was like, I was pretty set that this was my limit. That's usually, if I come for a big trade, I usually come strong and what I'm willing to do and not too much further than that. And I knew he liked some of the guys I like. I know he liked Bosa. I know he liked DK, from other shows we've done. And also from past history of drafting, like you're a big fan of some of the other edge rushers in some of these drafts and valued them highly. And we did discuss that he usually likes to get by a little cheaper at receiver, which I usually do too. But I knew he was a big fan of DK, so. And he's like the biggest, fastest receiver in football, so can't go wrong there.
Yeah, no complaints there. Tim, did you think about insisting on getting a first round pick as part of the deal, or that wasn't as important?
The offer was good enough from him off the bat. The only thing that made me want to change it, and I didn't really want more, I just wanted to add different players into the deal, was not in positions I was necessarily after, but it's kind of one of those things, defensive end, I felt good with Lawrence being a 6'4", and Davenport, of course, is my main guy now at a 5'10", but I feel good about them, and I really like Carl Granderson, a 4'4" that I have that is seemingly, beating out the first-round pick they had last year still. So I like the way he's developing. So it wasn't a position I really wanted to have the primary investment coming back from a Dak Prescott deal, but a leopard can change his spot, so to say. It's like, well, Bosa's going to be the second best player on my team. I'll rethink everything at a later point. So that was the main driver, and that I felt like we'd get the deal done. And he's right. I don't like investing that much in a wide receiver, but in this year I was really okay. I think Ruggs is one of the top receivers in the card set. And Devontae Harris, I thought, was a very good enough second receiver, and Watkins got a decent enough card. I was okay with him being the backup receiver, and it just worked out, though, that I looked at it and it was like, long term, though, yeah, Metcalf blows all these guys away, really. Of course, Ruggs and Ridley have issues, but as a whole, the key to the deal, I just kind of thought 3 picks in the 6 to 10 range and a usable veteran, I think is what I posted. And, to me, Bosa was worth probably, if a 6, 8, and 10 is 3 top 6 to 10 picks, Bosa's worth a 6 and a 10 on his own. It was sort of like, yeah, Metcalf's not on his own really worth an 8th to me, but when you add Brian Allen in at that point, it's way past, agreeable enough to me, because it's another position center that I really needed to invest in. And then, Barr was he was one of the guys I questioned in the deal, just because I wanted somebody that was still playing, and he wasn't playing at that particular time. And then once he got signed, I think the deal was made like 24 hours later. So that was mostly what I wanted. I kind of wanted to give him back DeMarcus Lawrence or somebody like that, and maybe a running back if he needed a running back, like he ended up getting more like Tevin Coleman or something like that, but he wasn't interested in those. And like I say, it was more just a positional mismatch than the actual quality of the players.
And it can be tough trying to trade players for players because people have such differing values. And so I kind of had a feeling I knew where his values were on Bosa and Metcalf, so it kind of made it a little easier.
And I think, we have, at least recently, and this is just my opinion, but I think we have valued a lot of the similar players over the last 3 or 4 drafts in manners that are pretty consistent with our value of positions and players. I like Noah Fant a ton too, even though I didn't get to draft him. I wanted to trade up and get Noah Fant. He hadn't worked out, but even some of our busts, I think, are players we both kind of liked at that time. So
yeah.
So back to Atlanta. So you paid the price to get the quarterback. Gardner Minshew goes from Super Bowl champion to the bench, kind of like what Nick Foles happened in Philadelphia. It looks like you have enough pass blocking on at least on the left side to get by. The defense still looks strong despite giving up Bosa. It doesn't have the pass rush on the D line anymore, but I'm sure you'll be able to coach around that. A lot of fours though. So how are you feeling about your defense?
Not awesome, but to be honest, I guess looking around the league, I've got a 4 at both outside if I want to, and I'll probably even sub in Malik Reed as a 0-0-8 pretty often. I can work with that. 1-5 at corner also isn't awesome, but I do have one of the few 5 nickels, which, the style of defense I like to play with pass rushing. If you can get a 5 nickel, people that spread it out and do the 3 receiver stuff, that actually helps a lot having that 5 nickel. Just protect you against deep passes when you're not able to blitz because they're flat passing you to death. So I can get by with it.
And then you got you got some young players. I mean, you got some young players I like, but you also have, like, when you go 3-3-5 yourself, you can bring in Lowry and Everson Griffin. Those, if you bring linebackers, even if they don't have a lot of pass rush, those.
Oh yeah, with blitzing, these guys are going to be okay. I mean, this is not that different than what I put out there last year, except for I think maybe I had a little more at outside backer. I had Malik Reed was like an 11 instead of an 8, and not sure who my other starting outside guy was, but he was probably in the 8 to 10 range if I had to guess.
Right.
It's really about quantity of blitzers sometimes.
Nice.
So I guess if I had to give myself a record with 17 games, like I said, I think if I have Dak, and especially since I do like my running backs enough, I think I can win 10 games, go 10-7.
I like that. Michael, what do you got for Falcons at?
First of all, I like he loves franchise quarterbacks. We all do. So I don't think that was an overpay for Dak at all. This is a ball control team. I'm not used to seeing a team of his that doesn't have pass rush, but if you look at defensively, this team is 1 or 2 drafts from really competing because they've got at least 7 good young starters on defense, but there's an awful lot of 4s and there's not a lot of pass rush to go with it. He's a very good coach. I'm just gonna go out there and say 9. I think he'll win 9. He'll go 9-8 with this team.
When I did my one simulation, I ran a simulation. The Falcons did come out 9-8, exactly that. But I think Nathan's going to coach up that team and get a couple extra wins. So I say 11-6.
I want to bump mine to 11. If the simulation said I can get, what'd you say, 9?
9.
I want to go to mine to 11 then.
Okay, you got it. Tim, you're the last one. What do you got for the Falcons?
Let me ask Nathan. Did my because I've been kind of pursuing Myles Garrett since like the time he was eligible to be pursued. Did that kind of factor into your knowing that I would like a guy like Bosa?
Well, I mean, I remember back as far as Ziggy Ansah, you were a big fan of. I mean, if you like those guys, you like them, and this is one of those things like with Marshawn Lattimore for me last year. I value that player at that position a great deal, but I can get by with a 4-6 or 4-7 and pass rush, just like I can get by with a 5 corner or a 4 corner instead of a 6 if I can add other things by blitzing too. So there are trade-offs that I'm willing to make because I can play to the strengths of my coaching style. Instead of, because Bosa, I mean, he's going to line up against a tackle and he's going to just be dominant in the matchups and they'll come up naturally. But I basically can augment the crummier guys, but I can't augment some of the other stuff like Dak Prescott. I can't make him suddenly have more completions on his card by doing something. So it's kind of just a matter of being able to work with what I've got better, I guess.
That's I think a good point Michael just made. It kind of allows you to focus the rest of your drafts and off season for years to come. Once you do have a franchise quarterback, you can kind of move on from that and do something else. So, I definitely felt like it was a good deal. Of course, I've been looking to kind of trade him for 3 or 4 years, but I didn't want to rush it. And Bosa was one of those guys that obviously had so much weight in the deal because I probably consider him behind Myles Garrett the number 2 guy I would rather have right now of any defensive player. So I really like Bosa. And I'm going to agree with both you and Dennis. I'm going to go 11-6.
All right.
Nothing personal, Nathan.
Hey, I gave you hell when you shorted me on the autumn win preview, but I don't think you're crazy to think that with this roster. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure. I honestly was thinking, 9-10, but if like when Dennis said he ran a simulation and it got me 9, I feel like I can use my personnel better probably than the simulation. So
yeah, I'm a little worried about the simulation when my team comes up, so that should be fun.
Yeah, I think Patterson's going to be one of those guys that's into the extra 2 wins a lot more than the computer would utilize a guy. I know how you're going to use him, and
he's going to be great in a lot of situations for me.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's look at the Buffalo Bills. I sent you each a couple of a team to look at. So I'm going to take the Bills. Michael, you look at Chicago, and Nathan, can you look at?
Yep.
Look at Cincinnati. Okay, so Buffalo has. It's an interesting team because I like so many of the position players, but there was nothing done in the offseason to address the quarterback position for this year. He did draft Jordan Love, but this Ben Roethlisberger card that he's going to have to play with just puts a damper on it to me for his outlook for this season. Look at that offensive line. You got 3 7 pass blockers, 2 5s. You got decent running back in James Robinson and Jamal Williams. You got 2 great receivers in Justin Jefferson and Terry McLaurin. Tight end and Pat Freiermuth. And the defense, 6s and 5s all over the place. He's playing at 3-4. So he's got, Jaron Reed is a defensive tackle, so he'll be at 0-4 nose tackle. That's another weakness. But you got a 5'8" at one end, 5'7" at the other end. Leonard Floyd, who, if you're not going for the year, you might want to think about trading him off and letting his Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, choker, play in his plays. But Scott's not too much of a trader. He's not shopping a lot of these guys. He's got a couple of 6s in Shaq Thompson and Jerry Slay. But it all comes back to that quarterback that just throws a wrench in everything. What do you guys think about Buffalo?
I'm not sure. Just as an aside, when you look at the talent that's on this roster, like you said, there's 5s and 6s all over the place. I don't understand. I mean, maybe he's thinking, you know what? One, because he picked up some nice assets in the draft. But when you have this kind of talent and you've got pass rush and a really good offensive line, I don't know why you don't pull the trigger on a quarterback. I mean, I know you might want to continue to build, but no one can guarantee that all these numbers are going to translate for even next year. There could be injuries. There could be anything. You got to strike while the iron's hot, and he's got a really good lineup here. It's kind of disappointing that he didn't pull the trigger on a quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing is, who would he be getting? That like for starters, you don't end up with a roster like this unless you stand pat a lot and just draft and do a good job. Right. I mean, he's done a great job of that. My team will end up looking like awesome or just like garbage because basically I'm always trading. But I'm either going all out or probably rebuilding. He's just steadily adding. And I think if he could have got a quarterback, if there was one in this draft that was within reach, and none of them are even good as far as their cards.
Right.
So he would have been in competition for like Dak, I guess, and probably didn't want to pay up in that range. Other than that, I don't know what's out there. I guess I could look through the card rankings here. I mean, Kirk Cousins was available, but even his card, I'm not crazy about the flat pass on that one, even though he's got a good card the rest of the way around. He may have just not even wanted to. I don't know if I'd want to pay for that card. And it could be a shorter term card too,
But this may have been the guy. Somebody, I know that you early before you made your trade for Dak, was talking to me about
Jared Goff.
Yeah,
that would have been a good option for him.
Yeah, he may have been the guy who was actually asking me about this. I'm sorry, it's been a month, and someone was addressing me and was potentially looking. It might actually have been him. He may have actually been the one who was trying to contact me, and we never even got into discussion, whomever it was, about what we were planning on offering. I wasn't planning on asking for the moon and stars. I would have negotiated a deal.
I asked you initially if I said I was in negotiations, but if it didn't work out, I can't remember exactly what the offer was, but it was very reasonable, and you were willing to do it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, I could see him doing that, and
yeah. So if Scott, if it's you that got a hold of me, I apologize. It may not have been you, but I know somebody had contacted me in the interest of last second said, I think I'll just go with what I got, and so we never even got to the point of trading. But I mean, if Ed's rankings here are to be believed, it would have only cost him. It wouldn't have cost him a lot to pick up a player like that, and somebody who's not going to see the field for me.
Might work out for you though. Goff's looking pretty good.
Yeah, well, so is Tua.
Yeah.
So let's get the predictions in. I think that just keeps throwing me for a loop. So I will go 5-12 for the Buffalo Bills, and I think that it should put them in a good position to either draft a quarterback next year or trade up to get somebody. But that's where I see it. What do you guys? What do you got, Nathan?
I gotta say, definitely higher than that. Now I gotta look at this Roethlisberger card real quick.
What's his guess wrong card? Okay.
He's about 20th in the set. He doesn't impress really long and flat raw or short wrong a whole lot. But, if he's going to get some dump offs, and he's got a couple 3 7s on the line.
Does he have a nasty fumble number?
What's that?
He might. Does he have a nasty fumble number? Someone made something with that.
Did. Oh, Zeb, one of those.
Well, I think he's gonna do a lot better now. I'm gonna put him at 10 wins, 10 and 7. I don't think that card's that terrible. He's a really good coach, and he actually. I mean, you guys are talking about the talent around it. You get a quarterback that's okay with a good coach, and he's gonna be patient. I mean, I think he can do it. Get into the playoffs.
Right. Now you got me rethinking. I'm gonna go up to 7 and 10. Okay.
Yeah, look. I mean, even just the linebackers. He's like, those might be the best. That might be the best set of linebackers in the whole league. With 2 6s.
Well, I'll give him something to shoot for. Michael, what do you got?
What is he going to play? Is he going to play a 3-4?
Yeah, 3-4 with the 0 nose tackle.
Nothing wrong with that.
No,
Nathan won the league with that, right?
I think I might have won both my leagues with a 0 nose tackle. At least one of them.
He's got so much talent, but I just can't get past Ben Roethlisberger. 7 and 10.
All right, Tim, you back?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn between both of you guys. 10 and 7 sounds really high, but I really like this team quite a bit too, and I know Scott can coach, so. I kind of like the running back situation with Robinson and Williams, so I think I'm going to go 10 and 7 also.
All right. So that takes us to Chicago. Michael, what you got?
Well, where's Matt Ryan's card in this whole mess?
He ranks him high. He ranks him as 10.
Wow. God, that's interesting. I'm looking at his line. It's kind of suspect. He's got only one weapon on the outside. Oh, go ahead.
With Matt Ryan's card, I should say his guessed wrong short pass is actually pretty weak. It's like 17 combos. I traded him. Or no, I traded for a different quarterback in Frozen Tundra because I wasn't going to play with that. So there's some limitations there for sure, but he still has him ranked really high.
So he has 2 nice weapons there with A.J. Brown and Weller. And, of course, he's got Jonathan Taylor. So you've got that 50-50 option, run or pass. Is he pretty decent deep, I wonder?
I don't
More
think
of
he's
a
that
wrong
great.
guy. He's not that great. Guess right.
Yeah. His line is really suspect. There's a 2, there's a 3. Yeah, that's his linebackers. He's got a bunch of zeros, too, on top of that. He's got a couple 5s in the secondary. This just looks like a mediocre team to me. God, sorry, Brad. I'm not being a geek about it.
Now, mind you, he went to the Super Bowl last year.
No, well, he won't be doing that with this club.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to reach for Greg Gaines early in the second, and he grabbed him even higher than I was going to because I thought Gaines was a pretty good player in my ratings this year.
He's got that Astros pass rusher. I think this is a 9-8 team. Maybe. I think it could go back and forth between 8 and 9 wins.
He's got some players on it. What do you think, Dennis? I think he's muted. Well, I'm gonna give him 10 wins. Also, it's the same thing. Matt Ryan, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you're talking about top 10, and what is Taylor? Probably number 1 or 2. He's amazing. He'll use him. He's got A.J. Brown, who should have a good card. I haven't really looked at it. That Quintus Cephas actually might have a good card too, as a third receiver. Waller, Schultz. He's got players. How's his line look? Not great, but
he's got a couple
not much pass block. But he's going to get some more run calls than a lot of people, probably anyone else in the league.
Yep.
Ooh, I don't like the linebackers though.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going 10-7.
All right.
Bumping back to 9 and 8. Sorry, I don't like the linebackers at all.
Got it. 10-7. What did you say, Michael? I missed it. My one son came home from work, so I had to go talk to him real quick.
Guys, do you remember? Did I say 8 and 9?
I think you said 17-0, but I'm not sure.
well, stick an 8 and 9 in there.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm going to hammer them. I'm going with the old 4-13. That's how bad I think.
How in the world are you going to say Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor go 4-13 when he went to the Super Bowl last year?
Okay. I'm just kidding.
I should just let you do what you.
Yeah, I didn't really look at them.
I thought you were the optimistic one. And
I'm getting harsh this year.
I'm a jerk.
I think he may have knocked me out of the playoffs. Maybe I'm still
There you go.
sore over it. No, but I got it to 7-10. Okay, Cincinnati. On to Cincinnati. Nathan, I think I asked you to give a quick.
Looks like Dan's going to be playing with this team, which Dan is a good coach.
Right, this is Dan. This is Dan Thorhauer, though, not Dan Moore.
So I know Dan T. I believe he won the initial S28 league, right?
No, I think Ed did that, but Dan's had some success in my stock.
Wasn't in that league.
The Somsville League? Oh, I'm sorry, S28.
Yeah.
Oh no, no. Did he?
Come on, Dennis, it's your league for crying out loud.
I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. I don't think so. I think Zeb won it, the initial one. Oh no, Zeb won.
Now we're looking.
I gotta go look.
Well, Nathan's working really hard to give this guy praise. All right, so
I like to know the style of the coach, and then when I look at their personnel, especially if they didn't build the roster themselves, it can be difficult. Sometimes they just adjust to it without any issue.
Okay, so Joe, you're thinking of Joe the Hammer. He won the initial one.
Joe
the Hammer.
Yeah, I am thinking of that. I got both those two confused.
And then Nathan, you won in 2017 set. Zeb won in 2018.
No, it was definitely the Hammer. I can't say his name. He was the one I was thinking of. Okay. Well, now I'm confused. Derek Carr. I mean, he looks like he's got a good card again. Yeah, Ed's got him ranked number 8. That Aaron Jones card, looking at it, doesn't look too bad. Don't know how he ranked him, but it doesn't look great either. I do like Gainwell, and he's actually got a good card. I really wanted to get Gainwell, and he got drafted. He got drafted early in this league compared to the other ones, so I never really had a good shot at him. The receivers, I mean, they don't look amazing at all. The O-line, solid, not, well, maybe not 4.7, 6.5. Good at tackle. Guard looks pretty weak. Defensive line looks pretty weak. It's pretty mediocre. I guess I'll go 7 and 10. I don't like the receivers, and the running backs aren't probably dynamic enough with some of the other weaknesses on the lines.
Yeah, if Jay was coaching it, I might go a little higher too.
Well, that's the other thing, is because it's his team, and
Yeah.
he's kind of built it. He knows what he wants to do.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 7 and 10 too. I'm on a roll with these 7 and 10s. Dan will coach him up enough, but I think like if it was Jay, maybe like you said, he'd know how to get the most out of him, and he knows Jay is familiar with the style of each coach in the league and knows how to compete.
If I had to be a GM for some other coach, I wouldn't build my team anywhere the way I built it on defense. I would give them some other pieces,
Right.
And I would invest highly in pieces like Cordero Patterson, for instance,
Right. You know how to get the most out of him.
Well, I know what I think I can do or what I would like to do, and situationally and all that, and they may not have the exact same idea all the time. Not that it's right or wrong, but it's just that's what I'm used to.
He's running a 3-4, and again, another one that's going to have a 0 nose tackle, but maybe not quite as. He's got decent pass rush on the ends and the outside linebackers, but again, you gotta be willing to commit to the blitz. You got to be kind of know the style of coaches you're facing. So I think 7 and 10 seems right to me. All right, Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it too. 7 and 10. I haven't had experience with a new coach that I can kind of draw upon, but I agree with everything you guys have said about building kind of for your own style. That's always awkward to take over a new team. I think I'm kind of going through that in S28. He built a team that really fit his style well and was probably way better at it than I would be right away. So it does take a little bit of time to adapt to another coach's team.
Yeah, it does help. I think that he plays in S28. He's used to that SOMIFA style of rules with the 50 carry halfbacks and stuff like that. But it's still an adjustment. Michael, what do you got?
I think he's going to go 6 and 11. I think he's just going to really have he's got 2 good inside linebackers that can plug, but he's going to have to guess right an awful lot with a 4-0-4. 3-4 defense with a 4-0-4 across your line. He's constantly going to have to bring people up. I think teams will run all day over him. So 6 and 11.
All right. Well, that takes us right back to Michael. We got the former Kansas City Chiefs, now rebranded as the Cleveland Browns. Michael, why don't you talk a little bit about your team?
3 and 14. What were we talking about?
Why so many wins?
Sandbagging.
That's it. There you go. Why be so arrogant, right?
Well, you got some pretty good players here. So let's see. Again, 3 7s on the pass block. I love that. A 5 and a 4.
Well, I got to ask before you get too far into this: are you planning on playing Tua over Goff?
Looks like Winston's playing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
He got a.
Saw that card too.
The stupidest looking card you ever seen with must runs. It's nuts. But there's definitely a way to stop this team. There's definitely a way to stop that card. So I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot, but I guess I can flip back and forth. So it'll be between Goff. Tua won't see the field. It'll be between Goff and Winston.
Yeah, almost looks like a Lamar Jackson card.
Kind of. Like he's. Look at all the must runs on that card, and
Unreal.
gets all the way to 7, I think, on an 8 maybe, or 7 on a 8 on a 7.
We had a big
plus
discussion
9
about
on
these
a 7.
cards before the trading, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Ed has it Winston 16th, Goff 11th, and Tua.
Yeah, he's down a like 21 or something.
Oh, I don't see him.
He's down the 20s.
Oh, there
20.
he is, 19.
Okay, there you go.
So, yeah, so they're all kind of in that area. Yeah, I would be, if you're starting to put some wins together, I guess stick with Winston. But if you're struggling, might as well switch to Goff and see how that goes.
I think that you could definitely do, situational, who you're facing, how they're playing. I mean, there's a lot of things in your, obviously your personnel. You got Jamar Chase. I mean, and your tight ends are actually really good. I haven't looked at Harrison Bryant. Can he catch it at all down the field?
No. That was just a pickup I made with Dennis. Just wanted a young tight end. That's all.
You've got the pass blocking to.
Well, no, hold on now. Harrison Bryant has a max of 41, and he can go deep. So yeah, he can do some things.
Well, I was going to say, with you're talking about Jameis and the way people. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to ruin any big secret here, but they'll double team the hell out of that guy.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So
either you adjust and you go to Jared Goff, or you make it so they can't double team guys by putting that block. I mean, you might, as weird as it sounds, you might want that blocking back in there over even a better tight end.
You have experience with Lamar Jackson, am I right?
No,
don't you have?
No, I don't. I've never had it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, but he has a lot of similarities, and that's why Nathan's talking about, you're going to get a lot of double teams with it because people are going to worry about the flat a whole lot. But if you look at it, at 17 must runs, and over half of them are +9 or better.
Right.
And you add that to the 13 chances he's got guessed right, you're looking at 22 chances of +9 or better. There's not many quarterbacks in this set that can do that. So there's definitely some value there. I mean, he would be a killer guy, like in certain situations, and like Nathan was mentioning, there's certain teams, if they got 3 6s, maybe you're not going to flat pass a lot in that game anyway. If they don't have a good pass rush, that's in your favor, and you've already got a good offensive line. There's definitely reasons to go with Winston. I'm not that surprised. I think my second quarterback might be Tua. I definitely like what Tua can do this card also.
There's a lot of coaches that also don't sit there and double team with linebackers all the time, like almost ever. So, it doesn't make their defense better or worse. It just means that that's a style that a certain quarterback might play better against.
Right.
And what a group of halfbacks here. We got Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Dearness Johnson, and Rashad Penny. I mean, that Dearness Johnson card, I don't know where you have him. I don't see where you're playing him in your CM, but you put that card out there. It's got over 100 carries, or got 100 carries exactly, so you can play him unlimited first half or second half. That's going to get the run calls. You've got to respect that off tackle and linebacker.
That Jamar Chase guy guessed wrong isn't bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You ain't going to be wrong very often.
Well, I mean, you're on the horns of a run.
Although, I guess that's the other way they play Winston is gets more run, and then Chase would. So that's a good point, I guess. He might get more than I would have thought.
And not many people have a Mike Williams as second receiver.
Yeah, a lot of good talent there. I mean, I think you're selling yourself short because it seems like you're about to give yourself a losing record or something. Michael, what do you got for your team?
I mean, I could see 4 wins myself. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I'm going to tank. So 5 sounds good.
This is the third team we've looked at in the first 6, or first 5 that are playing a 0 nose tackle. Got another one, 0-9.
There aren't that many nose tackles either.
No.
Well, I'm inspired by my hero, Nathan. I watched him take that guy to the house last year, so I'm going to try and do it myself. So
you gave your hero the lowest prediction of anybody.
Hey, as Rocky said, if you can change, I can change, we can change.
Ooh, I like Javon Hargrave, 0-9.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why I got him there. I don't know, 9 and 8.
9 and 8. Come on, Michael.
Because I don't know about the quarterback situation, because this is uncharted territory for me to have a quarterback like this.
I was thinking you could use some practice games with this team that might help you,
I
because you
agree.
may take a little bit of adjustment.
Yeah,
I like those running backs. I think you're going to get more run calls than you think. I'm going to go 10-7.
What did the simulation say?
15-2.
Simulation says.
Are you
And I'm not
serious?
even kidding. I'm serious. Look at this.
Who did it start?
I don't know. I deleted it, because I wanted everybody in alpha order.
That's
So I
made
didn't
up.
look at the stats.
This is playing mind games already.
15-2.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys play in the first quarter? Let me look.
Hold on. I will run a
they
simulation
don't.
live right here.
I think he's Lou Holtzing me right now.
I am not. I'm telling you.
Hey, let me tell you about that Ball State. What a tough opponent they are.
Okay.
I mean, there's nowhere on your team that looks bad. There's no group that I'm like, oh, that's a bad group. Nowhere. So that's right off the bat a good start. You got two different kinds of quarterbacks, which I love options. I mean, that's my favorite thing. That's why I laugh about injuries and having the right backups. Like, dude, you can't have 53 players and have any situational players at all, but have backups on top of it. It's not possible.
Well, what would you go with for the quarterback? Would you go Goff over Winston?
I would probably play. I wouldn't have a set guy. I would have different. I'd probably do Goff more often, but I would definitely use Winston against some people.
Tim, what do you think?
If I was playing a 4-3 team that had
You go Goff.
6 linebackers, I like
You
Tua
go
or Goff myself.
Mm-hmm.
Especially well, don't want to get into too much of analyzing your quarterbacks for everybody to hear. So, but I like Tua, and like going against a 4-3 that doesn't have any sixes. I kind of like the pressure you put on that D.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you could have a 17-point lead. You might want Goff in. Maybe you think you can run the ball really well against someone. You might want Goff in for the flat passing option. You may be up against someone that's going to score a lot of points where you're going to want to, maybe you want to go with Winston where you think you're going to have to throw more down the field.
Well, I think Goff's long pass card is actually better than Winston's.
To me, the long pass cards are all usually relatively close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless they're really bad. And then the rest of it is matchup stuff. 0-man in zone, matchups 4s, 5s, zeros if you can get them, instead of throwing against a 6 free safety. You're never going to win that.
Did you see Winston's flat pass? It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, that's his weak spot. That's for sure.
I was going to look at I do a thing with the stats that are released, which is basically kind of looking at the long pass, right yards plus the expected must run yards. And Winston's still only 13th there, even though he doesn't have many 3 completions. All those must run yards, 160 must run yards on the card. That's a lot. So he's still going to be able to produce there, but I think the lack of being a great 3-column guy, meaning flat, short, long, is just his biggest drawback. If you just focus on the short, long, he's your better quarterback. But flat comes up so much, and I definitely am a guy that's kind of gotten to a point where that's always not been one of the things I worried as much about, but it has become over the last 8 or 10 years quite a bit.
Well, Nathan's right. I think it's just really going to be matchup dependent. Right now, I'm listing Winston as the starter, but I think that could be fluid, not just in the start of games, but in between games too. So it'll be fun. It's nice to have options.
So something you got to remember, I just realized this now. The simulations are bunk because all they're doing is throwing short. The CMs that Ed has loaded only throw short passes. So Jameis Winston finished with 58 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He ran the ball 258 times for 2,000 yards. Oh no, yeah.
I'm going 17-0 for Cleveland. Okay.
No, that was 13-4. So that's the reason why, because he has such a good, strong short pass card, and nobody's double teaming. in these CMs either. So that's why
that at least tells you, though, when you're comparing it, because they're all doing the same thing. That at least tells you about the strength of that particular thing compared to a lot of other teams. So even though they may not be realistic at all, they're at least telling you that you're a lot stronger than a lot of those teams at those specific things.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to win the championship, but I think that he's going to win the Heisman Trophy with those numbers.
Well, okay, so let's get back to the predictions.
What'd you go with? What'd you go with, Michael?
9-8.
I'm
going last this time.
Okay, Tim, what you got?
I'm going to go 10-7 here.
Okay. So you got to go one lower than 9-8, Nathan, to pay back.
What did you go with, Dennis?
I'm 10-7 too. I already went 10-7.
Nathan can go lower than that. He knows what to do.
I'm going 11 on this because I like it all. I love the options. You've got the strengths where I like them. You got one corner 6. Your other big player is the free safety, which is perfect. You don't have you're not weak at linebacker. You're strong compared to the rest of the league. Your D line has pass rush and some ratings. Your offensive line looks good. Your court running backs look good. I like it. I think you may struggle a little at the beginning, getting used to everything.
Figuring out how to play.
That's usually my biggest fear with some of these teams that I have is not quite knowing how to play with them at the beginning.
I just played a Strat 28 team game here just before that and you guessed it, Josh Allen, and lost to a team that was full of zeros. Just coached loudly. Sometimes I feel like if you haven't played for a while, and I played SSFA, just one league, and haven't really touched the game for months. It's almost like preseason for me getting back into this again. It's like, oh man, just silly mistakes that you make, and it's like sometimes you got to remember you're playing strat and not football. It just takes me a while to get my mind wrapped around it. So,
sometimes you look at a team full of not that great players or ratings, and you're playing the right guy. They can be very frustrating if you're not willing to adapt.
Exactly. So so hopefully put that one to the side and we'll see. I tell you what, this will be, no matter what, this team's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, I just filled in some more teams here for you guys to kind of sneak ahead to look at. So Tim, can you kick us off with the Dallas Cowboys? Then I'll do the Denver Broncos. Nathan, you hit Detroit, and Michael, you hit Green Bay.
All right, two-time champion Dallas Cowboys invested heavily at quarterback in the offseason, taking Justin Fields, Tyler Huntley. Huntley's going to be the starter this year, and he is going to run really well. He's got a great offensive line in front of him for pass blocking. He's got, pulling it up now, I believe 3 or 4 sevens. It's not a great run blocking line, but of course he's got the center 6'7", so he is, got his traditional great center. Derrick Henry's just really low on carries, and his card is still really good, but he definitely doesn't have the carries. And this is the offseason. He finally moved Cook, who has probably lost 1,000 carries. Had he been on another team, he would have been a 300, 400 carry a year guy for several years. But anyway, Dalvin Cook's moved on to greener pastures, and Henry's still great, but it's not the card that we've seen in his MVP level years recently. Similar receiver situation. He's got big play guys, Peoples-Jones and Cortland Sutton. Sutton burned me for 4 touchdowns in a game. I believe it was last year, so I'm well aware of his ability. Leonard Cox is one of the guys that a lot of us kind of like. If you're a run-based team, having a 5-run blocker, not the best receiver, but he's got Gerald Everett, who's a better receiver. So no weaknesses at the wide receiver tight end position, but it's not a super position group like we've seen with a couple of the other teams. And like I say, mostly you're just down attempts with Henry, not so much quality, but his quarterback situation's probably going to be dependent on a lot of must-run dump-off type things. Of course, with Huntley, there will be a ton of dump-offs compared to some of the other quarterbacks, but Huntley's only got 4 guess-right completions, so that's going to be a little limiting, and we'll see how he works out over the course of the year. One of the best coaches in the league is, definitely got a plan for how to use his team. On the defensive side of the ball, this is one of the better teams to me. Jonathan Allen's going to play nose tackle as a 4'11". And then he's got 6'11" at defensive end with Brian Burns, a late first-round pick a couple years ago, and Emmanuel Ogbah, a 4'9". And then he's got at outside linebacker 6'4'8" and a 4'6'11". So loaded there. Isaiah Simmons and Jaylen Brown, a couple of guys that haven't really developed as well as what most NFL and SOMIFA coaches probably thought he would, but they're not terrible either. They're both 4s against the pass. So really strong defensive line and outside linebackers. And then in secondary, he's got a couple of 4s at the outside and a 5 at strong safety, 4-4 at free safety. One of the weaknesses, this team's going to have a great punt return game, but they've got McManus. So it's kickoff return coverage is 51-50 touchdown on 7-8-12. And they've also got Gibson, who gives them depth at pass rusher on outside linebacker spot. Probably not going to take Van Noy out as a 6, but if somebody gets hurt, you've got some depth there. But I like this team a lot based on the defense and the head coach. I'll kind of listen to what you guys think on it, but they've got a good pass rush and a good pass blocking offensive line. I think it's going to come down to quarterback's going to hurt them, and probably go with about a 9-8 type season myself.
Yeah, look at this Huntley card.
He's got a pretty good flat card. It's the rest of his card that's, going to be a bit of a challenge, I think.
Yeah, he's got looks like a good must-run number.
Mm-hmm.
Good flat, real good flat. It's just short pass wrong. Ooh, that's ugly. That's really bad. 10 completions, guessed wrong.
And long pass wrong is only 4. That's really going to be hard to work around.
That's brutal.
I'll just skip ahead. This looks like a 7-10 team to me, Dennis.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's one way to combat is just guess run and
flood zones.
Chances. Leave you guys home and guess run. See what happens.
I mean, has he ever finished below 500?
That's why I gave him 9-8. I don't think he ever has, and I'm pretty sure if he had the 0-16 Lions that year, they would have been a playoff contender. So,
yeah, I don't see it. Let me see. I got to go open the year by year, but yeah, I don't think he ever does that under 500. But you know what? I'm going to go 8-9 this year. I'm going to give him his first.
Yeah, we haven't had the 17-game season, so this might be the year. But I'm going 9-8 because I do like the rest of his team, and I don't know that everyone's going to play him the way that I think probably everyone should play him.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, what do you got?
I had the same 9-8. And Nathan and I have noticed are getting a little heavy in win, so we're going to have to pick a couple teams to be less than you and Michael are. So.
I'm just not gonna.
You got to be cruel like me.
The nice guy.
Exactly. So that takes us to Denver. This is my team to preview. Coached by Tony, who had a chance for a 3-peat in SSFA. A couple here in SOMIFA. He's got Kirk Cousins, who's a solid quarterback. I'm sure he's happy to see Jimmy G starting again for the 49ers, because that'll be make him easier to trade next year if he decides to go that direction. Sony Michel is his lead back. That's a little concerning. I don't know where Ed has him in the rankings. Matter of fact, where is Kirk Cousins? Cousins is the 5th best quarterback.
He's like 6th or something. He's high, but his flat pass, I think, is one of the worst. for any kind of quarterback that's any good at all.
Right. And then he has let's see, what did I say the running back was? Michelle. Is he any good?
He was a little I think he was a little underwhelming for what I was thinking he might be like.
Right. Yeah, because his card didn't strike me as well. I guess lineback's pretty good wrong and off tackle. So he's one of those 2 column runners. You can get some things done with that. His wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, David Njoku. He's running a 3-4. Oh, he's got Cameron Jordan. That's a nice one. That's got a 5 nose tackle. After all these teams starting zeros, that's a little splash in the face if you're trying to beat him on the run, because he's not just a defensive tackle 5, he's a nose tackle 5. Darius Leonard, 6'6" at 1 linebacker. Really strong secondary with Ramsey, Casey Hayward, 5 and a 6, and then 2 5s in safety. I like the looks of this team. It just needs a few more impactful carries. Hines will take a little bit of the pressure off in one half, and he's not bad. He's better than I thought, actually. Yeah, Hines isn't decent.
That Duke Johnson card might actually be okay too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at that. Oh yeah. Okay, so he's not carries.
It's tough to read the rankings because some of these columns don't really justify where these guys are strong at.
Well, and he's going to get a lot of help. This line is fantastic.
Yeah, I like the way this team's looking.
I do too, a lot actually. Tony's a very good coach.
I'm going to go a little bit optimistic here. I'm going to go 11. God, do I want to go 11 and 6?
Me too.
I think I'm going to 7. No, 11 and 6.
I'll do 11 and 6. I'll take it.
All right. And Nathan, what do you got for these guys?
I think this Kirk Cousins card might frustrate him a little. The flat passing is pretty weak, and I don't know that this isn't necessarily. I love Njoku. I tried to get him from him too for this set, but I'm gonna go 10 wins. I think it would normally be higher, but I think that Cousins is gonna be kind of a pain in the ass card.
Got it. All right. So you said 10, right? 10 and 7. All right. Tim had to run. Tim, are you back or are you still? We'll get Tim's prediction when he gets back. Nathan, kick us off with the Detroit Lions.
Okay. Well, you got Stafford, and his Ed's got his ranked card at 15, which I assume is largely impacted by turnovers because it actually looks pretty good. Of course, he did have quite a few interceptions, and he's got Tony Pollard's card really low too. Maybe he had high fumbles or something. Because his card doesn't look too bad to me. It definitely looks very usable. You know, he's got even off tackle in the zone that he ranks. He's got 10 combos of short gain or better.
Oh, those are nice, yeah.
And
guess right is nothing, but
his guess rate's not very good.
That's a lot of cards in the set.
You're not too often guessing run anyway. Kareem Hunt's card, though, is pretty awesome. Limited carries. That Derek Gore card, I think, is actually pretty good, too, and he can catch it deep. And he's a pass blocker for. So he doesn't have Njoku. That was the last team. It's a nice little piece to have for a late round pick, Derek Gore.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that. I haven't got him. Right, he's not only that, but he's got a dot because he's got he's a 50-yarder.
You put him in there. I mean, even you look at situations, third downs, and I think this guy can actually run. I think his card was all right. I don't have it in front of me, but he was one I was looking at where I would
50 carries.
I would have loved to have actually had him.
He's one of those two column backs, but the columns are off tackle and end run.
Yeah, so you get him in there. You know, maybe if it seems like everyone seems to be favoring their one rated linebacker on the right side, you put him in there in a 2 tight end set, and he's going to get some zero matchups. And you know, you throw even if it's a running back, if he can go all the way, you have to account for it some of the time, and you can't double him with a linebacker, and the linebacker on his side may not be doubling as much just because he's covering that guy. So I like all that. Line looks good. Running and passing is pretty solid. Oh, he's got Buckner as a nose tackle. That's nice.
Yep.
A little bit of pass rush. The linebackers are bad, though. Kevin Byard might help him out with that. Free safety. I guess I will go. I don't like the lack of. He seems kind of low on real. I mean, Kareem Hunt's going to dominate. Derrick Henry might be pretty good. I'm going to go 9 and 8. His receivers aren't awesome. His tight ends aren't real great. I don't think either. I like everything else pretty much except for the linebackers and the receiving options. I don't like everything else. I like good enough that you have a winning record.
All right, I'm going to go 8 and 9. I'll flip that around. Michael, what do you think?
I'm going to go 8 and 9 as well.
Tim, you back? Or you still?
I'm back, and I agree with the last couple. I think 8 and 9 is where I like them.
You have a quick prediction for Denver.
I'll have to look them over real quick.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so that takes us to the Green Bay Packers. And Michael, I got you taking a quick look at these guys. I think that's Butch's team, right?
That's Kurt.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kurt. Yes, that's right. Butch is at Green Bay and a couple other leagues, but
That's 28. Played him today.
yeah, nice. I haven't imported the result yet, so let's take a look at that.
Well,
What do you
according
like
to
Packers?
according to Ed, Tannehill probably has a quarterback card that's in the bottom third, and I feel bad for Kurt having to waste draft capital on Trey Lance, who's going to be out for yet another year. So that's a shame to have to bury him for another season. But he's got that surprise James Conner card. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
should be
I tried to trade for that guy too.
crazy.
I couldn't get anybody.
Well, and Tannehill's card's not great, but he is going to get helped out because he does have really nice options at wideout with Evans and Hopkins. So it's always a plus you can kind of make up for that. And his line is just so. It's not great.
He has one really good guy in Lane Johnson at 6'7", but otherwise not 4s and 5s.
Is he going to play 3-4 and move Reader to nose tackle? Yeah.
Yes, he's got 3.
Yeah.
DJ Reader is a defensive tackle, so he'll be a 5'2" nose.
Yeah. His linebacker set's kind of weak. Does have
He's got Demario Davis and Jalen Phillips. Phillips for the pass rush and Davis for everything else.
Yeah. And he's got one corner 5. I don't know. It's funny. Some of these teams, they just run together. You know, it's tough to separate yourself from anything looking like this. Looks like a 500 team to me. And Kurt's such a good coach. I don't know. Gosh, I'd say maybe he gets this team to 8 and 9. I don't see them with a winning record though.
Yeah, that is the thing that I think stays consistent is the talent on teams may waver, but the coaching can put you over the top. That James Conner card is going to give people.
That's a nasty card.
Yeah, and Alex Collins is a decent backup for carries.
I think that card is garbage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's garbage.
But he doesn't need it. 200 carries is a lot of carries.
Yeah.
For Strat.
Yeah, I just wish Tannehill was a little bit better short pass wrong.
Yeah, that's the part I don't like.
But he's not bad. I mean, for this set, he's like average.
But after Jonathan Taylor, this might be the most run calls you're going to get against a team. Is the only saving grace. That's kind of what helped me with last year with Minshew. There's a lot more run calls.
Right, and he could flat pass and run, a little combo that way. I'm gonna go 10 and 7. I'm gonna give it up to his coaching to push him up the ladder a little bit. He'll be a playoff team, and nobody will want to face that card in the playoffs. Tim, why don't you hit us here? Yeah,
I'm going to go a little lower than you guys on this one, and maybe I'm making up for some of my earlier predictions. But looking at some of the other teams, I like the quarterback situation a little better on some of the other teams I've looked at. And although I do think Connor's great, and he's got, I believe it's 21 unfatigued, if I'm not mistaken. So that is quite a few, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go 7-10 on this team.
Yeah, I like that. Nathan? I like a little variety there between us. Not everybody. Some of these predictions were all the one game off. I like this 3-game swing.
I'll give you a little variety. I'm going to say 11 wins.
Whoa!
Wow.
That's that. I'm telling you guys, halfback cards can really make the team.
It's the most important. If you can get a quarterback within the top 10, sometimes, these guys between like 8 and 20 might not be that different at all. But those running backs and people, that's what makes you guess run. That actually gets you to call run. Or if they don't, you just run them over, and he'll do it. So,
All right, that takes us to the Houston Texans. Tim, are you good to tackle him, or I hear your kitty cat's asking for some food there?
I'm sorry, you heard what?
I hear your cats in the background asking for
Yes.
some. They're hungry.
Yeah, he's kind of a rooster. He likes to meow at daybreak or just before it, just to make sure I get up way before my alarm. But he also just goes into random mode. Also, Houston is one of those.
Your cat, real quick. What's his name? I remember it had a cool name.
The Gray Goose.
The Gray Goose. Yeah, I love that.
And, yeah, Houston's a team that for many years they were not drafting well, meaning they were picking 23rd or 24th because he was winning a title or close to it every year. They weren't getting good picks, yet he kept adding good players to the roster. And of course, he had Drew Brees, he had Tomlinson for years, and drafting late for a long period of time without doing a total rebuild is hard to maintain. And I feel like the franchise as a whole is kind of, eventually showing some of the signs of, having some of those great players, eventually retire. I believe he had Antonio Gates as well. So he's kind of in transition mode in a little bit of a way. He took 2 different quarterbacks. Recently had Jalen Hurts. That looks like a great move at the moment. He was like Tua last week. Their game this past Sunday sort of raised the ceiling of what I think they could be. I mean, those were really great performances. I watched both of those games, and I thought both of them were amazing. But he also took Davis Mills this offseason, so he gave himself a little cushion. But I'm starting to think Hurts is one of those guys I may have not given enough respect to when he first came out. Najee Harris is a guy I really liked. He was probably not on my board at 11, but I was going to dip down just to fill a position that I wanted to fill this year. And I think I had him rated like 13th or 14th. So he's a guy I really had rated very highly this year. One of the big reasons is he's a guy that projects extremely well as a receiver out of the backfield and also a high volume runner. Those are real nice qualities. And he didn't have a great running back situation with Kenyon Drake. Kind of, I don't know. He just seems to have lost his role more than his ability to me. He might, end up in a great situation somewhere else, but he's one of those guys struggling to find the right team at the moment. Ronald Jones is definitely a guy that's kind of dropped off a lot. So Najee Harris was a really nice pickup for him in the offseason, I thought. We all hear you, Kitty. His offensive line's got 1.7, a left tackle 5.7. He's got a good right tackle. Ramczyk has a 6.5, but he's got a 3 and a 2 at center and right guard as far as pass blocking goes. So he's going to struggle a little there. Still got Kyle Juszczyk at fullback, who's been one of the elite ones over the years. A guy that, like Nathan and I love, can go long as a fullback and also be a great pass blocker. And he's also a great run blocker. So he's one of those guys I think all of us kind of wish we would have taken in the 3rd round a few years back. But he's got some offensive weapons. I mean, Godwin's not bad. Cooks is still pretty good. Jared Cook's going to last forever at tight end. He was probably going to play till he's 45 and still be a guy that gives you 3 or 4 catches long every year, and always has a nice flat. He's starting to get a little more incompletes on his flat pass than he's had before, but he's not really going to kill you. But mostly the offense is going to be based a lot on Harris, and he's not great this particular year, and Hurts is usable, but he's also not great this particular year. And Paul's running a 4-3 as he often does. Fletcher Cox is a guy that's been one of those guys he took kind of late in the first round and ended up being better than about half the guys drafted ahead of him. Max Crosby's another guy. So he's had some good hits on the defensive side of the ball recently, I think. Pretty good middle linebacker, 5.04. So the defense is not too bad. He's got a 5 and a 0 at starting corners, but a 5 strong safety and a 6.6 in Winfield at free safety. So there's more weapons, I feel like, than Paul's had to play with in the last 2 or 3 years. I kind of like this team for compared to some of the other Houston teams recently, because, like I say, I think he's kind of hit well in the draft and he's kind of built the team up. Still, I think, when you look at the league average of a 24-team league, is his quarterback situation a top 12 situation or more of a middle of the pack or below? I think Hurts has some of those issues we've seen with some of the other quarterbacks, that they give you enough yardage, guess right on the must run to make the guess right short not bad, but they have a lot of misses, guess wrong. I think that's the thing that'll hold the team back the most, along with the fact Harris didn't get a great rookie card at running back as far as yardage on the strat card as much as volume. So kind of like this as kind of like a 9-8 team.
That makes a lot of sense. I was looking at that. Maybe Davis Mills has a more usable card, but no, he's not any better. So I think he's doing the right thing by starting Hurts. So you said 9-8, or right? Yeah.
Paul's a great coach. There's teams or coaches that might end up, winning 6 games with this team, but I think Paul will get him 9.
I'm going to go 7-10. I think that the quarterback play will hold him back. I also think that, Najee Harris is kind of pedestrian card and the hit with some sacks from the inside. So as much as and he's playing a 4-3, it's one of the teams that decided to go 4-3, which will help him, but he's got a lot of forwards there.
Yeah.
I don't like a right linebacker 0. I don't like a 0 up the middle. You can run draws against that. And one of the cornerbacks is a 0. I do like Justin. Actually, you know what? You can use Winfield to mitigate some of that to fill in for the right or the middle linebacker. Let me adjust mine real quick. I'll go 8 and 9. All right. Nathan, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I want to give Paul more wins than I think this team's worth. I don't like – Hurts card guessed wrong on the short pass is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
He might be guessed right a lot, which might actually help him, because I don't think Najee Harris's card is very good at all.
Right.
I mean, he's definitely more of a future guy than a now guy for sure. But even then, who knows what Strat will do with their cards. I don't like the 4-3, but Paul's the best with it. I don't think he's ever run since I've been playing with him a 3-4.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go 8 and 9, and I probably would have gone as low as 6 if it wasn't Paul.
All right, Michael, that's over to you. What do you got?
First of all, I just want to point out, I think this is the finest fullback group that you're going to find in the entire league. All right, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say 7 and 10. I'm looking at the talent, and I'm not looking at the coach. This looks like this team's going to be better next year, because I think that Hurts's card is going to get more respect next season. But he's got 2 scary wide receivers, but nobody to get to him. This looks more like a ball control team to me, but they don't have the talent to do that just yet. Again, I love that nice secondary here, but I think with that 4-3, he's going to get nickel and dimed. He is a great coach, but I'm just looking at the talent as a whole. Somebody's got to go under 500, and if we're looking at just talent alone, this could be one of those teams, so I'll go 7 and 10.
All right. That takes us over to Indianapolis. and that's my team. And this team, you know, a lot of coaches that have Josh Allen, the quarterback, have complained about, you know, a candidate for league MVP getting a card this bad. But I think it's going to help Indianapolis in the long run. And I'll tell you what, because the rest of this team's not really ready to compete.
Right.
He did have Michael Carter, who's got a good guess wrong card, decent guess right. In this set, he can actually catch a short pass. Oh, no, he can't catch a short pass. Forget about that. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good receiver out of the backfield. He's got a strong card as well. But this offensive line is below average. 4-2 as a starting tackle, 4-2 as a starting guard, then 4-4, 4-5 with finally his first-round pick in Rashawn Slater as a 5-7. Allen's card is underwhelming for what you have. It does have the good end runs, and he'll get some of those. But the completions are just not there, guessed right. And his flat card is pretty bad. And you're not going to get a ton of people selling out to stop the run with Michael Carter. I mean, he's good, but he's not that good. Renfro and Watkins are an underwhelming 1-2 punch at receiver. They're good, but they're not like, oh my God, you got to double team these guys. Renfro is maxed short, so that will help. Kelsey's the best tight end in the set, well, close to it anyway. Got the double team completion, so that is a good weapon. At the defense, he's running a 4-3, and again, a lot of 4s, a lot of 0s. He's got a 0 at left cornerback. He's got a 4 right cornerback, 4 strong safety. He does have Robert Quinn, who's fantastic, 4-4, 12-12. One of the contenders should have gone out and made him an offer of a second-round pick to grab Quinn because I think he's going to go wasted on this team. He's starting Carlos Dunlap as an outside linebacker. You got to bring him. Make sure if he blitzes these 2 linebackers, that'll help a lot. But his defensive line, 4-1, 4-0, 5-4, 4-5. It's not going to scare anybody. People will be able to run against that. So this team, for all the teams I've seen, even with Josh Allen and Travis Kelce, I'm going to ding them, and I'm going to go 6-11. Who would like to go next?
I'll go 5-12. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to go 4-13.
Yep.
And the reason why is because, I mean, I'll just comment on what Dennis said, but go a little further. All these teams that we've been naming so far and struggling with like 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, 10. There's not one of the teams that we've seen so far, with the exception of one, that this team actually would match up well with. And Josh Allen alone isn't going to get this done. This is a rebuilding team. There's nobody on this club that scares you, especially from the white. There's no explosive plays here anywhere. And they don't have a running back who makes you call run. So, no, I think this one's really going to struggle. We've gone through nearly half the league, and there's no one in this group so far that I think they would be favored against, maybe with the exception of one team. So I'll go 4-13.
All righty. Nathan?
And Dennis, I will go 10-7 on Denver.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah, I think to me the biggest thing, I see a card like Josh Allen where he has to throw short to be competitive, and then I see a bad offensive line against some coaches. That's just going to be a nightmare out of the bat. Not great receivers. Not a good secondary either. I'm going to say 4 wins also.
And I just want to bring up, I think Michael Carter is one of the best picks in the draft. He's just doesn't have a good card this year, but I really like that pick. He's one of those guys that could have a dynamite receiving card at some point down the road.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Nathan, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Got Raiders.
Okay, Lamar Jackson. Look at this card real quick here. Not as good as he was a couple years ago, obviously, but still got a lot of must runs on there. Did he trade for Cook?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yep, and he's got a myriad of sevens at the offensive line.
All right, I got to take a look at that Cook card real quick. Got it here. That looks like a pretty solid card. Jeff. AJ Green actually has got a little surprisingly good card too. Got him in a couple leagues. That has a lot of sevens. Pass blocking. Got a fairly decent D line. I mean, everything's relative. Obviously, a 5 nose tackle with a 4-7 backup for passing situations. I guess he'd be a 0-7. 1 D end. Not a little bit of pass rush from Bosa at linebacker. Actually has a 6 at linebacker. Ooh, real good secondary. So I'm not crazy about the Lamar Jackson card, obviously. The worst thing with some of these guys, just like Jalen Hurts, Jackson short pass wrong has 14 completions.
Yeah.
And to make up for that, I got to look at his receiving options, and I don't see anything explosive that really makes people say, I don't know, maybe Robbie Anderson has something, but is anyone really going to sit there and guess pass against him the whole time when it probably might just help him out with all those pass blockers and everything? Just because he's got great secondary, great O-line, really good running back, I think he's going to be around 500. But that Lamar Jackson card, I'm not real crazy about that at all. I'm going to go 8 and 9 on that one. I would like it if he had something a lot more explosive at receiver.
How about you, Michael? How do you see him?
I'm still kind of looking.
Okay.
Yeah, he needs like a Donovan Peoples-Jones type card from last year. Where
Exactly what I was thinking.
But
I mean, 14 completions guessed wrong on Lamar's card. That's just horrible.
Yeah.
On the short pass, and you're going to have to short pass a lot,
Yeah, and then he does benefit from the tendency of a lot of coaches just to call pass. There's some people that just find it really difficult to call run. So that'll help him a little bit. But, yeah, I could see him struggling for sure just because of the card.
I mainly think of two things. I think of third downs and anything 5 yards or more, and I think of goal line area.
Red zone is really going to be tough.
How are you going to score? Yeah, I mean,
if they call pass, they're double teaming a lot to get rid of the must runs.
Even just a shadow like on a third down takes away everything almost. I mean, his card has got almost nothing on it after that.
How many must run opportunities does he have?
You mean end runs? End runs.
No, he's talking about must run combos.
Must runs, he's got 18, which I believe is max.
Oh, gotcha. But how many times can he end run in the game too? Because that could be a big part of it. Those 2 short games will help. But then
he's no better than Dalvin Cook. I mean,
right.
I think it'd naturally be a 4, but I think he gets a bump of 2 being a pistol rated, so I think he got 6. Just guessing.
Yeah. So what you guys got? I said 7 and 10. Tim,
I'm going to surprise you here. I'm going to go 9 and 8.
All right.
Because I'll tell you something, they're never going to play behind the sticks because of that line. He's going to be basically untouched. Their pass blocking is excellent on this team. I think it's probably going to take a little bit of work with this team. First few games, just trying to figure out how to coach him. But I think he'll come around.
Sounds good.
I'm going to go 7 and 10. I believe this is a team certain defensive coaches are going to make it hard on their offense.
Yep. All right. So that takes us to the Chargers. Michael Reeves. you get to talk about TJ's team.
All right.
Your microphone is kind of dropped off here.
So
I
far
hear you.
away.
Yeah, I hear you like you're in a tunnel or something.
I'm sorry.
He's the prognosticator with a far away mic.
It's 12:30 here.
That's
That's what's going on. So I made my way upstairs. Jacob's card isn't that great, is it?
I don't think so.
No. He does have Debo. The question is he going to commit to running him full-time 1/2?
I tried hard to get Debo.
Yeah, I'm surprised that. Well, I was gonna say the rest of his wide receivers are pretty overwhelming. Although Edwards' card actually is pretty usable, right? I think he's got
That card is actually nasty.
It is. He's got long gains on it, doesn't he? Pretty fair
Oh
amount.
yeah, he's got a lot of yards on there.
That would fit well with our previous team with Las Vegas, but too late for a trade now.
Line average, not great. Let's see.
Brady's card is strong.
Yes, it is. He's
Really
got that
good
nice
card.
average push rusher. His linebackers are really not great. Oh my, really not great actually.
Yeah, lots of zeros.
Yeah, but you can get away with that at 340, kind of like that. Gosh, it's crazy. I don't know what they're going to do with Samuel in this situation, but he's got such a nice quarterback. You take him, put him in the backfield, and then the rest of his wide receivers are kind of iffy with Edwards. But I don't know. That team looks pretty decent to me, especially with Brady. 10 wins.
All right, 10-7.
My linebacker set is terrible.
All right.
How about 9-8? I'm 9-8 with him.
Okay. Well, if he commits to running Debo each game a full half, he gets 15 carries a game from Debo. I would like him to be a playoff team, but I kind of have a feeling he won't because his receiver card's really good too, and he might just leave him out there on an island and run Josh Jacobs a ton. But I will go 8-9, and with the feeling that he could flip that around and be in the playoffs if he just commits to Debo or bust.
I think I'm going to go 7-10, and part of it is because I think TJ is a coach that likes to be loaded on defense, and I feel like this isn't the kind of defense he usually has. So I feel it's going to kind of force him out of character a little, and so I think I'm going to go 7-10. But it could easily be a playoff team. I like Brady a ton. So.
All right, and what about Nathan? What do you got?
I'm going. I want to go low, but I mean, Brady is awesome, and Debo can be a weapon if you use him right. Still, I'm not sure how he wants to use him. Otherwise, he's just a receiver.
All righty. So, what did you say? I'm sorry.
I'm going to go 8 wins. 8-9.
Gotcha. All right. So
It's
that
a good
takes us
secondary.
to. Yeah, I mean, there are some positives. It's one of those teams that there's a lot of negatives.
Really ugly or it's really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. Over to the other side of Los Angeles, the Rams. And this, I think I said, who did I say?
I think I've got it.
Tim, yes. Talk to us about the Rams.
All right.
Wayne on this team.
Rams are going to have to milk another year out of Carson Wentz. As I've mentioned, he's a guy I would have taken ahead of Dak Prescott, even though I love Prescott. I thought Wentz was on his career path to be a great quarterback. He still could. He's not been bad. He just, to me, he looked seriously lost mechanically 2 years ago. He seemed to get some of it back this past year, and he played pretty well for Washington so far. He's one of those guys that's just hard to judge yet. He still hasn't really found his way into the top 10 or 12 quarterbacks, but he also hadn't busted out of the league. So he's one of those cards that's not bad at all. He doesn't kill you flat. You'd like to see him hit a little more. He's not that bad short, but again, you'd like to see him hit a little more, and the same in the long column. Doesn't really have a ton of turnovers. He's normally a guy that I kind of worry about his fumbles, but it's only 8 this year, so it's not bad. 1.4 interception. He's a guy that's had a career low interception. Or his career interception percentage is fairly low as a whole. So he's a guy that you still got some promise with, but he's one of those guys that you're always looking at another quarterback if the right guy's there in the draft as well. He's one of those guys that just kind of hadn't really cemented himself as your franchise quarterback. He got a guy I love, Christian Darasa, this year in the draft, who I think is going to be a great offensive tackle. Might have gone 6th or 7th in another draft that wasn't loaded and also didn't have 2 better offensive tackle prospects. But he's got a couple of 7s on the offensive line. Quentin Nelson, one of the best guards in football. He's got Brian O'Neill at right tackle of 4.7. So not bad offensive line at all. Running back, he's going to be interesting. He's had recently Austin Eckler, and he gives you a lot of value, but he's got the sneaky guy I always kind of liked, sort of like Gainwell, Boston Scott, very good running back, and got a very good card. For one half, he's going to outplay that 4.3 in my opinion, because he's got one of the better guess right cards and guess wrong. It has a lot to do with, playing with Jalen Mills and Philly, but he's also a really good runner. And I don't know, Gainwell's a guy to me that shows great promise as a future receiver, but just a guy I liked as a runner, independent of being on the Eagles. So he was one of those guys I think several of us liked and were kind of hoping would drop about 10 or 15 picks farther than he did. But yeah, it'll be Eckler and Boston Scott for the most part. Receivers are no big excitement. He's got Claypool and Josh Reynolds at the moment, so receiving's not a big asset of theirs. And Troutman at tight end, that's going to be probably the biggest weakness on the team. Wayne's a great coach though, and can coach a team that doesn't have a ton of talent based on his style. And I know he'll get the most out of his running game the way he coaches. He's going to be running a 3-4 this year. He's got a lot of valuable defensive players. He's got Vita V playing a true nose tackle 5-3, and then Ashawn Robinson, a 6'2", and the best defensive player in the league, Myles Garrett, on the other end, a 6'12", 8. At linebacker, better than average. He's got a 4.42 in the middle. It'll be the weakness, but on the outside, strong side, 4.48 in the middle with Pratt, a 6.43, Anthony Walker, and then you've got Hassan Reddick, 12.7, 0.5, and then 12.7 against the pass rush. So a very productive linebacker crew as a whole, mostly Walker and Reddick, but, Tyus Bowser's not bad at a 4.48. So you've got some pass rush to go with a good run defending offense or defensive line. I mean, who's got much better than a pair of 6s at defensive end and a 5 at the nose? So that'll be really solid. Cornerback, again, a 6 and a 5 with a 5 at strong safety, one of the best short zone defensive teams in the league. So I really like the defense more than I do the offense, mostly due to the receiving options I think are not as great as you'd like, outside of Eckler being a great receiving running back. But, he's going to bring Deshaun Jackson and Jerry Jeudy in for some of the big play kind of guys. But as a whole, I feel like this is a solid team. But like most of us, there's a lot of these teams that are very, very close together. And there's going to be a lot of teams in the league between 7 and 10 and 10 and 7. I think I kind of like this right now, just due to the fact I'm not that crazy about the receiving options. As a whole, I like the defense. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and go 9 and 8. I think Wayne will be able to work around his weaknesses on offense and use that defense well.
Yeah, Wentz is the thing that for me that like holds me back. I love his linebacker group. I mean, you said he's got pluses in a lot of spots. He's got that high pass rush linebacker. He's got the 6 for stopping the flat passes. The weapons are a little underwhelming. I will go 8 and 9. I'll flip that around. But Wentz might be better next year. The way he started off, he's had some pretty good moments so far in the NFL. So maybe that's something to look forward to. Nathan or Michael? Who's up?
I'm not crazy about that wins card either. The big cap on 7 there doesn't match well with what his running backs are. They're strong runners, right? Not pretty good wrong still too. But I agree with you on the other weapons. Receiver, not very good. I mean, Deshaun Jackson's got some yards, but the rest of those guys, I'm gonna go 8 wins only because his defense looks really good.
Yeah, I like the way Wayne coaches as a defensive coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
Michael, what you got?
All right, Wayne, this is for you. You ready? Wayne's World defense, excellent.
Party on!
There you go. Now, I think in SOMIFA, with the average defensive cards, I think offense is valued more, but this defense looks ridiculous. I mean, it absolutely looks phenomenal. And boy, what a team this is going to be in the playoffs when he gets that very good pass defense, too. I think he's got it. I like this one. I think I like this one more than you guys do. I think Eckler, I played him actually tonight. His running card is not that bad. Nor is the rookie that got from Quinn and Scott. That's a really nice monster that they're going to run with him. They've got a very good offensive line, too, especially run line. That defense is superb. I mean, you've got to set it and forget it. Asterisk pass rush, you got 2 of them basically on that team, 1 from the outside and 1 on the line that you don't have to do anything with. I like this team a lot. I'd say 10 and 7.
Sounds good.
7.
I like it. Okay, so we'll leave Michael back at the submarine, and now we're going to move on to the Miami Dolphins. That's Dan Morin's team. This is my go to give them a once-over.
We all live in Michael Submarine.
I love it. Okay, so Kyle Murray, the little guy who he looks like he's a toddler who's stolen your cell phone. He's running around, people trying to chase him. His card is a little bit less than what it might be in future years. It's still pretty good.
I think that's the best one he's had yet.
I have a feeling better things are coming, though. I think that I don't know. I have never really been scared by a Kyler Murray card. Maybe this is the year that scares me. Is guessed wrong short passes. Finally, it's something that you have to really be worried about. He doesn't have quite as many as must runs as he's had in the past, but he'll hit you for 6+ or 9+. Really, that's really what you like from 2 to 6. Flat pass is not bad. I mean, that's pretty decent flat pass for this set.
Well, not only that, but he's got George Kittle and he's got Kyle Pitts, who
2 tight end offense.
are 2 of the top 3. Pitts is the best in the league, flat pass wrong yardage, followed by Gronk and then George Kittle. And then flat pass right, they're both top 3 also, it looks like.
Yeah, and they both have double team completions, so that's going to be a nightmare to try to stop on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. His running back is not, Saquon Barkley doesn't have like that, oh my God, that card's going to kill me type of Jonathan Taylor type of card. But he's got short gains, guess wrong. He can get you the guess right yardage. He can catch it. He can go deep. That's a power.
His card was better than I thought it would be, and because I have him in another league, so I was looking forward to seeing what it looked like.
Yeah,
better than I thought.
Yeah, and people have him written off. Oh, he was hurt last year. He still had 162 carries.
I bet $50 in Vegas that he would lead the league in rushing at 60-1. So right now I'm looking pretty good for 2 weeks.
Nice, very cool. So he has Dylan in there as his running back, 2 tight end set. I think that maybe he'll swap that out. He kind of has a similar card to Barkley, but he can't catch the passes like him. Though he's not bad. So he's a nice second player to bring in once you get close to using up Barkley's carries. Myers and Gallup are not the greatest pair of receivers, but they're not bad. No long gains on the card, but they have, like the 15 plus 16 type of catches. And they had some good hits, strong too, deep. So that could come in handy. The defense is a 4-3, I believe. Yeah, so he's running a 4-3. He's got Arden Key. Is his best pass rusher on the line. 2 5s and a 4 beside that. The secondary is fantastic. Xavier Howard's a 6. J.C. Jackson's a 6. Poyer's a 6. And he's using – this is interesting to me because he has Andrew Sendejo, who I would start at strong safety and move Poyer as the free safety to give him more options. Instead, he's running Nevin Lawson out there as a starting free safety, or maybe he just hasn't updated his CM yet. But no, it looks like he's going to be like blitzing Lawson or double teaming with him every play.
Well, I was going to say Dan is the ultimate 3-4 coach, and you almost fell over when you said 4-3. And I'm looking at his roster, and he's got to run a 3-4. What's he doing?
Well, he's got it would be a 4-4 nose tackle if he wanted to go with a 3-4. Let's see.
That's probably above average in this league, or right at average.
Maybe he just couldn't get that extra inside linebacker because he'd have to throw a 0-0 out there. But he does have Highsmith, and he's got that 0-5 free safety. So maybe that's going to change before we start the season. But I'm not sure if it can. I think that there was a deadline to declare, and it's declared in this CM as a 4-3. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays. I kind of like a lot of the things on this team. I like those tight ends. I like Barkley as a weapon in the passing attack. I don't like the pass blocking from the guards, but you can't have everything in life. He does have the 6'7" center, so he can go 3 wide. Well, no, you can go 3 wide because he can move Pitts out to one of the receiver spots.
But you never want to take one of those tight ends out of the game, period.
Well, he doesn't have to.
Because
I could see that happening because I think this is a team that he's going to use to its strengths with the flat passing of Murray and Kittle and Pitts. He's invested highly in those two.
right.
And they are real weapons on the flats, and that's definitely where Murray's best right now. And he can work them in still with the other stuff and be effective.
And I think that when you go 3 wide, it kind of lessens the impact of the other team's pass rush because a lot of coaches will just stay home. They won't be, 3-4. They'll always be sending somebody. Well, in a 3-3-5, they're going to probably keep a lot of guys home quite a bit of the time, and they won't free safety blitz as much because you've been pounding the flats, so it's not as effective. So, yeah, I kind of can see that. Yeah, Pitts' flexibility being a tight end wide receiver is going to get him on the field as a 3rd wide receiver in those 3 wide sets, according to the CM. So, I like this team. I like it a lot. I'm gonna go 10-7. I think this is a playoff team. I might even go. Let me go 11-6. No, 10-7. There's too many holes on defense, and the 4-3 things got me a little perplexed. So 10-7. Nathan, what do you got?
I was ready to go really high until you said the words 4-3 or the numbers 4-3. I don't quite get that. But I suppose that when you're going to blitz more, you're still going to be 3 down linemen. And I know he's going to be blitzing. He's got a great secondary.
Yes.
I think he's going to definitely use what he's got on offense exactly how I would probably try to use it. I'm going to go 11 wins. I would have gone even higher, I think, if he was 3-4 with maybe one more piece, pass rush wise.
Got it. Yeah. If he had Javon Hargrave as a 0-9 somewhere on the line, that would be.
Well, he's gonna have that 0-8, I bet, in there a lot at the end.
Hargrave starting, yeah.
I don't quite know what he'll do on his base towns.
Yeah.
That's when he's gonna get tore up probably a lot of the time, unless he can get in the 3rd long.
Yeah, let me look at that real quick. Yeah, the 5-4, 4-1, 5-3.
I mean, when you're weak at linebacker, you definitely want to be able to flood zones. That's the other thing about 3-4 I much prefer.
Yeah. Michael, what do you got?
I think this team is going to get mauled by death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, look, it's great. Their offense is ridiculous. I understand that, but the whole 4-3 thing here with a couple of zeros on the field at the same time, and even on the left side of his or whatever side he's going to play him, there's going to be a couple fours there too. He can't hold on to the ball for 50 minutes in a game. I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Offense is more valuable in this league, I think, than defense. You guys have convinced me to 9-8, but I'm struggling to even think he's going to get that. I think defensively it's just too weak, and it's great to have a super secondary, but what's it going to matter with a front seven that's so mediocre?
I think that for me, I know he's used to these players. This is exactly the type of – he plays defense how I probably play defense, except for he actually has some personnel in the secondary. So he can actually afford to not blitz and flood some of those zones and do some things that I could not do because he's got 3 6s in coverage. That's where I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but I still would like to have that 6s free safety, move him to cover a flat, move him to put –
it's all about the blitz. Why put him? I mean,
then you go 3-4. If you're going to be blitzing every down, go 3-4.
That I agree with.
Yeah. All right.
I think maybe he's just like, hey, in the nickel, that's when I'm going to do it anyway. So,
all right, Tim.
Double team the rest of the time, I guess, or flood. Maybe that's the flood guy.
Yeah, maybe he just
better to flood with the 0 and cover with the 6. I mean, that could be the thinking too.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Tim, what do you got?
Maybe the best short zone secondary in the league, best tight end set in the league. If he goes 2 tight ends, I've still got to go 7-10 because I'm not real crazy about the front 7 on defense. I worry he's going to have a lot of dump offs due to the low pass rush, and the offensive line is really worrisome for me. So I've got to go 7-10.
Yeah, that offensive line is kind of tricky. All right, that takes us to Minnesota, and that's Dale, and we have Nathan covering them. So what you got, Nathan?
Well, can can you show me that screen again real quick? I want to mark what teams I'm looking at here.
Gotcha. So you got Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee left.
Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Okay.
And we can do this on the fly together. This is the Joe Burrow team with a lot of 7s.
Yeah. And he's a bomb thrower, I do believe. I haven't looked at his card recently, but Chubb's a beast. Gordon got a pretty good card, I think, still.
Yes, he does.
Diggs and Lockett are scary. And then he's got guys like Cooper and Thielen. They're both very capable receivers. And he's got Wall. This guy doesn't have enough damn receivers. This is crazy.
He's the 4-wide coach. Remember, he always goes 4-wide.
I know. That's what I was wondering if that's what he's going to be doing here. I gotta look at Burrow's card real quick. What's he look like on the flat? Pretty solid.
Good. Yeah, really good. He's maxed out, and he has.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got his card now.
-2 on 12, and
he's 26 combos guessed wrong. That's a really good card. Not that it'll be guessed wrong if he's running 4 receivers, but who knows with Chubb. Yeah, this has a lot of options on offense, and with the pass blocking, this looks like a really good offense. Defensively, what's he running here? A 4-3.
Yep, 4-3.
Which I believe he runs fairly often, and probably is.
That's a lot of numbers there.
Yeah, good rankings, solid pass rush. He's got a 6 middle linebacker, which is awesome when you run a 4-3.
Yep.
That's what you want to have. Little weak outside, but so is everyone else. This looks like a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
Secondary is great. Offense is great. Defense pretty close to great. And the front 7. I'm going to go, and I know he knows how to use some different offenses, which I really like. I'm going to go, let me look at his schedule real quick. It'll give me a reason to.
I mean, he can't. Amari Cooper can't even get on the field in a 4-wide. That's how deep he is at receiver. That's nuts.
I'm going 13 wins.
All right. 13-4.
Me too. This is the best roster we've seen so far.
I think so.
Yeah, I will go
Probably should
14
go higher. Yeah.
I'm gonna go 14-3. I like it. I would love to coach that team.
Yep.
There hasn't been a lot of teams that I would look at and go, "Oh, I'd like to coach them more than my team." But this might be one of them.
Not only that, but in this particular set, that particular offense can do everything and take advantage of a lot of different things.
I like it.
There are almost no good nickels in this set. There are almost no good linebackers in this set. And he can do anything he wants on offense, running, passing, blocking, everything.
Yep,
I'm getting excited by his team.
All right, Tim, what you got?
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. This is the best team we've looked at. I'm going to go 12-5 just due to Burrow's got a little bit of a high interception. So, still, I think that's the first team I picked with 12 wins. So, yeah, it is. So.
Perfect. Okay, Michael. That
I
takes
think
us to the
The
New York.
Giants. Yeah. I think as looking over this roster, it doesn't look that overwhelming, but I think it's an underrated team. I think this is also going to be another juggernaut club. I know that Herbert had a good card, and Foreman has a sneaky good card as well. I know their running backs look pretty mediocre, but I think they're all serviceable. That's not a crazy, scary wide receiver group, but it is still pretty strong.
I like that Jackson card. Nathan's
You can do things with that.
Yeah, it's got some yards. It's got some yards on it.
Their team is going to. Their line isn't going to be great. They're probably going to have to make some switches here. I don't know that I've got the final updated one that has the right order, but I know that he's got.
So got it on the screen here. His offensive line goes 0-5, 5-3, 5-5, 6-5, 4-5. So 4 5s and a 3 pass blocking.
It's better than average.
5 and 6. Yeah, that's not bad, but no 7s.
It's better than average.
You'd like a little more with Herbert, I think.
Right. Yeah. A couple 7s mixed in there would be nice.
His defense doesn't have much pass rush, but he's got a really nice back end secondary. I think this team looks better than I don't know. Something tells me that this team isn't going to be that bad at all. I kind of like them. Maybe more than what I should, but I think 10-7 for Joe.
All right, 10-7. All right, I'm going to flip that around again and go 7-10. I think the 2 zeros at linebacker, middle linebacker, and one of the outside linebackers. And a 4-3 again. You're going to get dinked and dunked. He does have 3, plus players in the secondary, 2 5s and a 6. I'm not seeing a ton of pass rush here. Milano can bring it a little bit. Van Ginkel the same. But and Foreman's card is not great, and Reynolds is not great. Does he have anybody else there? Jeff Wilson. I don't know. Let me go pull up. Wilson's not like great this year. 33rd. It's not bad though. He'll get some run. Foreman is about the same, right? Yeah. Oh no, he's a little better. He's 20th, according to Ed. Again, that's maybe more because of the off tackle is his best column. Can he catch? Yeah, not much.
He's got good yards catching, but doesn't catch all that much. I think Foreman's pretty good. He's going to be a good short yardage back, and one of those guys that in the red zone, 3rd and 2 or 3. It's nice to have a guy like that on your roster, and he was hard to trade for that reason because he had that role on my team, and I sort of had to move away from him. But yeah, I agree. He's 18th or 20th in the set. He's not going to scare you a lot. He's one of those guys, though, probably going to get 100 yards if you don't call run quite a bit.
Right.
You get 20 carries or 18. So.
And the strength of the run blocking is up the middle, so that tends to work well with his skill set. I still think it's not going to get people off of the pass calls, and I think that he's gonna struggle with it. So I'll stick with my 7 and 10. Tim, what do you think since you started to dig in?
Yeah, I'm the same. I kind of see this 7 and 10. It's a team that's not all that far away, but they, could use an upgrade, especially as far as pass rush and middle linebacker. So.
Yeah, if he had a premium halfback, I would like this team a lot better. I just don't see it. Nathan, what do you got?
Yeah, I think halfback's the biggest thing for me that makes me not like the offense that much. You think Herbert, if he had some running backs, take a little pressure off, especially because his line isn't great at pass blocking. He's a good coach, and he's got some good defenders, at least in the secondary. Wait, was his middle linebacker a 0?
Yeah, 0 middle linebacker and a 0 outside linebacker.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah,
I really hate it when you're running a 4-3, or one of your guys is a. If you run a 3 wide against that, you have a 4 nose tackle and a 0 in the middle. He could bring in
Christian Kirksey over Van Ginkel and only have the 0 in the middle to worry about.
Kirksey.
He's a 4-0.
No, he's got a 0 in the middle no matter what, though. In a 4-3,
exactly.
That's horrible. I hate that. I'm gonna go 7 wins in.
Okay. I do like Pete Werner. He's off to a hard start this year, so that was a good pick.
Oh yeah, I mean the players. I like his picks and everything, but I don't like a 4-3 with a 0 in the middle. I don't think I could ever, unless I'm in full rebuild. I don't think I can stomach it.
Not that it changes the prediction real quick, but did I notice that Herbert has a pretty fair amount of must runs on his guest right pass? His short pass column?
He's a pretty good runner. He actually has a good end run column too.
Surprising amount of runs, I thought.
Yeah, look at that end run column.
He's a good runner.
2 gains in the middle, so that'll open.
I didn't realize that he was that much of a runner.
But he doesn't have that many must runs. I mean, must runs are only 5 must runs on the short pass and long pass.
He's got an end run column though, which is a bonus. It's not like a lot of carries, but
yeah. So he'll get
my autumn win QB.
Oh yeah,
traded the farm for.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, that takes us to the Jets, and Tim, you're going to kick us off with a quick overview.
The Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's take a look at the gangrene here. Made a big investment in the offseason at quarterback with Mac Jones, and he's one of those guys that's immediately usable. That's one of the reasons I rated him pretty highly this year. Not many rookies play that well in the NFL at quarterback, and somebody that you kind of expected would probably start a little quicker coming out of a good program in college, but he definitely did. And who knows, once he's developed more, he may turn into a better downfield passer, but at the moment, he's one of those guys that's very accurate, and he's not going to kill your team. And that was one of those things that, certain teams and leagues get caught up where you're constantly investing at a certain position. We've all got that where it seems like a sinkhole of draft picks, and Tom's unfortunately gone through that a bit at quarterback. And I think he took a little bit of a safer route with him. And at the moment, he feels great about the trade for Trey Lance, because unfortunately Lance is one of those guys that, had an early injury. But I think Mac Jones will kind of take some pressure off in a way, and just kind of give him a quarterback he can kind of sit back and not worry about the position for 2 or 3 years and see if he develops. Running back is got some guys that are not at their peak at the moment. McCaffrey only got 99 carries due to injury. One more would have made him a lot more valuable because he's still got a good card. And David Montgomery is a good runner, but this particular year he's only at 3.8. And he's got one of those cards sort of like Foreman in a lot of ways that's, going to give you 100 yards and 18 carries, but he's not going to draw a lot of run calls along the way. And like Foreman, he's one of those guys that you just sort of have to use the volume and the fact that, you can run certain things with a guy like that, mostly inside, to kind of keep the defense honest. But in a way, it's only going to keep them so honest. They're not really going to worry about Montgomery a ton on 2nd and 10 compared to some of the other backs in the league. So, and Montgomery's an okay runner, but nothing great. He's got Devontae Freeman, similar name to Deontay Foreman, of course. And Freeman's actually got a very good card. He's got a short gain on 6 and 7 off tackle right, or guess wrong, I mean, and then a 2 and 12 nice hits. He doesn't give you a ton of huge runs at this point, but that's a really good off tackle card, guess wrong. And he's not quite the receiver he was back in his Atlanta days, but he's one of those guys that is going to give you, since he's got 33 carries, the guy you use in both halves, like Montgomery, and then you've got one half that you can get from McCaffrey. And McCaffrey's still got a really good card. He doesn't have as long as only 18, so he doesn't have any short gains or bigger, but he's still got nice yardage, guess strong, and, of course, one of the best receiving backs in the set across any column. So he's got some weapons there. Tom's normally a guy that invests in tight end with Mark Andrews at the moment is his big guy. And for wide receivers, Kupp and DJ Moore. Kupp's one of those guys that is a lot better in the NFL than what Strat gives him. He's one of those guys that probably should have a lot more double team catches than he really does. And, you know, even maybe his 7 short should be complete, guess wrong kind of guy. But, you know, Strat's got their kind of boundaries, and he is maxed out. But, you know, he's one of those guys that kind of plays above max and the way he played last year, especially down the stretch. So he's got some good receiving targets. Andrews is one of the better tight ends. And not a bad running game. And if you look at his offensive line, it's normally a position that he's pretty well stocked up in. He's got a couple of 7s pass blocking. His run blocking is not as great as usual. Deion Dawkins is 6'7" at right tackle on the offensive line, but otherwise he's got 4 4s as far as run blocking. And the talent's usually better than the ratings that he has at the moment. You know, Cesar Ruiz is a 4-3 at guard, and I think most of us think he's a better guard than that. And Billy Turner's only a 4-5 at tackle, and he's a pretty good tackle as well. So we'll see as these guys develop, but at the moment, offensive line's not as big a strength as you might guess. He's running a 3-4. He's got Kenny Clark at nose tackle, and he is the only 6 nose tackle in the NFL at the moment of Strat. So that'll be a value, but not much pass rush. We've got a 5 at Quiddy Pay, at 4-5 at defensive end, and a 5-2 at the other end with Shaq Lawson, and really not any pass rush coming off the bench in the front offensive line. He's still got Chandler Jones and Rashawn Gary, who will give you some pass rush at the outside linebacker. So he'll have to, kind of like Nathan, kind of generate some pass rush with his schemes and pass rush. Chandler Jones had a spectacular game a couple of years ago. I believe it was against Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. Got a ton of sacks. Secondary, he's got a 5 and a 4 at corner, 4 at strong safety, 5-5 at free safety. So there's some good things to like about the team, but if you're asking where do, like I believe Michael had mentioned earlier, where do they separate and become better than the average team? I'm not sure where that is at the moment. They've just got kind of a well-rounded team, you know, great nose tackle, but I don't know if that's enough to carry them above 500. I think I kind of see like 8 and 9 kind of year out of the Jets this year.
Sounds good. Let me see. All right. I do like you said, there are some strengths to that team. The outside linebackers really make me happy. The
receivers,
the wide receivers, Kupp and Andrews. That's a nice combo with both double team catches. I wish Mac was a little bit less prone to throw interceptions going deep. At 2 through 8 on a 10 is a killer. If you get short guessed wrong or you keep it flat, he'll have a lot of success. But, you know, Deacon and Duncan's always full of dangers with all these 3-4s out there. I'm gonna give this one a 9 and 8. I think this is a borderline playoff team. Maybe even better than that, but we'll see. Nathan, what do you think?
Yeah, it's probably come down to turnovers. I don't know. I mean, I like Mac Jones. Short pass wrong isn't great. 19. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And he can run. I do like the backs. I think me and you both were looking at Freeman.
Yeah, if you can get somebody named Devonta in the set, Devontae Foreman, Devontae Freeman, or Devontae Booker, you're like okay for for half your carries. Those guys are all
with Cup, Moore, and Andrews. I mean, that should increase. Mac Jones should play a little better than probably his card says, with the running game around him, with the receivers around him. And I'm not too concerned about the O-line. I think he's got just enough because he's going to get some more run calls. He's probably going to run some more short yardage offense. The secondary and the D-line, I don't know if Tom wants to go crazy blitzing or not, but he may struggle with that a little. So I actually told him I thought he could have a decent team. I don't love the red zone as much, just because Mac Jones is a little weak, wrong, and probably right too. And his kicker I don't think is that good either that he picked up. He picked him up, I think, for future use. So, but I think he could still win. I think he could still win 9 games. 9-8 sounds about right.
Got it. Michael?
Yeah, I was just looking to see how incredibly young this team is. Golly, they're all kids. Like, every one of them are kids, and it's kind of funny that Chandler Jones is still on this team. I would just wonder how tempted he would have been to deal him just to continue in this rebuild. In a couple of years, if Mac Jones turns out to be any good, this club's going to be really, really.
Well, the problem with Chandler Jones is he has a 3 asterisk. If Chandler Jones was a 4, 5, 12, I'd have traded for him. But that 3 asterisk actually diminishes his value, which is stupid, but to me it does.
Right, because the free safety is going to be your 10th.
Well, if I'm going to trade for a guy like that, I want to be able to blitz him.
Right. I'm like you guys. This is a coin flip team at best. I don't know that Mac's card is strong enough to get him over 500. I'll say 8 and 9.
Alrighty.
I think Michael's just trying to get back at Tom.
All right, Nathan, you are up with this.
I get another good offense. Look at this. Or I don't know if I had the last one, but I got excited about it. Aaron Rodgers' card is the most amazing card I've ever seen for starters.
Yeah.
And Ron is a really good coach and an aggressive coach. He's got 2 backs that can carry. I mean, Mitchell's a lot better than Zeke, I think, but they're both very capable of running the ball a lot, which is a big deal if you're going to have a guy like Rodgers, so you're not facing triple, double teams the entire game. Normally, I wouldn't be crazy about these receivers because, I like something a little more explosive, but I feel like with Rodgers, you can just put anything out there that's reasonable, and he does have Scantling as a deep threat or big play guy. And actually, these possession guys, Brown and I assume Johnson is too, that actually might be the best fit. They're going to be guessed right the whole damn time. So I think this offense is going to be killer. The line, it looks good. I mean, a couple 3-7s in there, it looks like.
Yep.
And he's got him in the spots where, to be honest, I'd probably rather have him at guard if I had a guy like Rodgers. I don't want people blitzing the hell out of me the whole time without consequence. And he's got his 7s there. Defensively, he is a fellow pass rusher. I think he knows how to use his team. You know he's planning on pass rushing when he didn't move Adrian Phillips to free safety. He's definitely planning on blitzing.
Right.
So with that in mind, and the fact that he's going to be scoring, I think that's going to work out really well for him. I am going to go. I mean, that Rodgers card is amazing. I'm going to go 14 wins with this one.
I like it. I'm right there with you. I think I like this one just as much as I like Minnesota. So I'm going to go 14-3 as well. I think that, Another big. This could be another offense that you can see him go primarily 3 wide, because then you get Scantling in the game, you get that great Rodgers card, guessed right with all those 7s, dump off City, and then you have the max short cards for Amon Ra St. Brown and Deontay Johnson. Even 4 wide,
I should say I don't think that I've ever given that high of a prediction to someone that's got 3 4s in their secondary. But this offense is amazing, and I know he knows how to use that particular defense he's got. Seen him do it, I think, in S28 quite a bit.
Those 4s are not going to matter when Marcus Golden and Von Miller get home.
It might literally work to his advantage.
Yeah.
You almost might be better having a 4 out there than a 5, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah, because you're tempting them.
Tempt them, yes.
Yeah, come. Put the Red Bull cape up and let them come at you. All right, Tim, what do you got?
I think I'm going to
go ahead, Tim.
I think I'm going to go 12-5. There's a lot of things I like, but there's a lot of good teams in the league, and that's still tied for the highest team I think I predicted. So I think I'll go 12-5.
Michael, what do you think?
I'm going to go 13-4 because Nathan just gave me a very interesting thought about how, his roster isn't as good. The back end, like that one team we went through a few ago that had just 5s and 6s all over defensively. But I think you were the one who had the analogy about the red cape, where it's like got yourself attempting to throw deep, and then the next thing you know, you find yourself vulnerable because of the 2 outside pass rushers. Man, that's a great point. That was really, really a good analogy.
Well, so Nathan's point, I just put the analogy in. That's Nathan's point.
Well, you know what? I'm trying to compliment both of you too. It's also way past 1 o'clock here on the East Coast, so I'm a little punch drunk. But I'll say 13-4.
Okay, perfect. 4 teams left, guys. 4 teams left. Last 4. Michael, let's get you out of the way. You talk about our 5-time champion commissioner, NFL Ed, and his San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah. Well, this isn't one of his better rosters. Let me get down to it here.
It's got a good offensive line. That's going to help. 3 7s.
Ed always has a good offensive line.
And he even has a 7 on the bench. He's got Taylor Lewan in case there's an injury to one of the tackles.
Yeah, speaking of injury, is he gone for the year? Have they?
I don't think I haven't heard, but I heard that was a possibility.
Yeah, I heard it was bad. I'm sorry, when I put my iPad down, I got knocked out of.
It's all right. Well, I'll talk about him real quick. He's got Teddy Bridgewater at the quarterback. Not a bad card. I mean, good flat. Good guess wrong short, a decent at least. Not going to do much for you deep unless you get a guess wrong call. Playoff Lombardi Lenny he's got a pretty decent card. Hit you on the edges a little bit, but has those short gains in the middle. Guessed wrong. It's got Gabriel Davis as a 3rd wide receiver, who's one of those. I love this kind of card. Those high yardage guys. He flashed in the Super Bowl, and earlier this year he's got Devontae Adams, Corey Davis as his other receivers, Rob Gronkowski, and what may possibly be his last card, Max Short. No double team catches this set. Devontae Adams has the double team catches though, as he's the top wide receiver in our set this year, at least according to the ratings guide, I think. He runs a 4-3 defense. He has a little bit of pass rush on the line, though. He's got 4'9" Danico Autry, 5'10" Chris Jones, another 6 and another 5. So, 5 to 6 on the line. 6'6" middle linebacker Fred Warner. You've got to love that. TJ Watt, outside linebacker. Just another team with 3 4s in the secondary, but he puts the 6 at free safety. Right. So he's not committed to blitzing a whole bunch. But I like the way the team looks. I know it's got a lot of strengths. Maybe it would be better with a better quarterback card, but if You're not going to.
Bridgewater's pretty good. That's not bad, especially for Ed. He's the ultimate take what they're giving you. I think he does a really good job of that.
And Edmonds is another good receiver who can pass protect and catch a flat pass pretty decently.
Gronk's got a monster card on the flats. He'll definitely use him.
And Dontrell Hilliard, look at those short gains. Guess wrong. He's good for a half. Does he have another one of those? No, just that one. Oh, Royce Freeman? No, he's not. He's the bad Freeman.
Bad Freeman.
Yeah, Devontae's the good Freeman. Yeah, look at those yards on the flat pass. Juicy. And Ed's Ed, 5-time champion. He very rarely falls under double-digit wins. So this team looks strong to me. I'll go. I'm gonna have to ding some people. I'm gonna have to go back and ding some people. I'm gonna go with 12-5. Michael, what do you got?
I think 12-5 too, because he's one of those teams that unfortunately there's some that are playing 4-3 that are going to find some disadvantage. But not only does he have a 6 and a 5, but also pass rush there as well. And Ed is Ed, so 12-5.
All right, Nathan.
Well, I'm going to go 11 wins. I like his team. I love his coaching. And he's not dominant anywhere, but he will definitely always use his players, I think, to their max potential, which you get a guy like – I love the 6 middle linebacker in 4-3, like I said, and he uses TJ Watt. So, I think just one below what you guys are doing.
Okay, Tim?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 12-5. I like the highlight pieces on the defense. Fred Warner, not just a 6 against the pass, but against the run. Watt being a 12*12 is a gigantic piece. And then you throw in a really solid against the run defensive line and a 6 free safety against the pass. There's a lot of, like I say, kind of accent pieces to move around and, be strong at a lot of different ways in the flat zone against the run, like say, without even moving anybody up. I'm not as worried about 4s in the secondary as I used to be, especially if you got pass rush. So I like this as one of the top teams, 12-5.
It's got a 5 nickel also, which is rare in this set and very useful.
That's right. You can't just spread them out, try to go after them.
It's one less guy that you're going to get a 4 matchup or worse.
So that takes us to my team. Russell Wilson finally has a card that I think he deserves. I mean, I think I would like to see this card in other sets. I love this card. I mean, it's weak against the flats, but his short and long card are finally representative of how he plays. I think, at least how he's been playing lately. I don't have the stud anchor halfback, but I do have I have one of those Devontae. I have Booker, who's got a decent card, not great end run, but up the middle he's pretty strong. Jordan Howard, he's one of those cards that's kind of that's going to get you to call run once in a while. Although if you call guest right, he has a lot of zeros and negative yardage in the middle. But I like having one of those guys like that. He's good for a half. I'm going to start him off using him in the first half to see if I can get some leads. Tyreek Hill's strong as always. It looks like CeeDee Lamb's card is not as good as I was hoping it would be. But I also have Antonio Brown as the
He's got a good card.
Yeah, Antonio Brown's got a surprisingly good card.
I think Brown's your number 2 guy, and CeeDee's your 3rd.
Yeah. The only thing that CD does better is the yardage.
Punt return.
Oh. No, the yardage on guess wrong short pass. He has that extra long gain here, whereas Brown only has it on 2 and 12. So maybe I'll switch it up and go with Brown all the time. Because you're right. This is I was surprised that this card was so strong. But I want CeeDee Lamb's got the 2 and the 3 on the long guess wrong. He's got 2 and 12. but he has these extra completions on a flat pass, which I'm going to need with Wilson's flat pass guard not being as strong as as the other columns. Good offensive line, I think. 2 7s, 3 5s. Everybody's a 5 run blocker except for Solder, who comes in on third downs. But in the base, I'm going to run Storm Norton out there. I'm running a 3-4. Grover Stewart is a 5 nose tackle. I got Matt Juden on the line, 4-12-9. I'd love to have a card like that on the defensive line all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Got a decent guy in Harold Landry as an outside linebacker to bring extra pressure, but I got to be careful, like Nathan said, with the asterisk. I don't want to mess up Matt Judon's 9 and my free safeties 10 with Harold Landry's 1.
Well, at least when you're splitting it 3 ways, it's watered down. You know what I mean?
Right.
You bring him now, instead of cutting it in half, you're basically cutting it by, down to 33. Instead of 100%, you're down to 67. So it's not horrible.
My linebackers are all 4s against the pass, but 5 are better against the run. And I got 2 6s at safety, but 2 4s at corner. So I'll also be playing some of that Ole defense as people try to go deep to either the split end or the flanker, trying to hit a big play.
I like the fact you've got a 3-3-5 stud in Zach Cunningham, as run contain being a 6 is going to make a big difference.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I was willing to give up a 3rd round pick next year for him. It doesn't have as much pass rush as some other options I could get, but I like that run contain on the 6. So,
not only that, but when you play Michael, if he tries to use Jameis Winston against you, just contain him the whole time.
There you go. Although even when you shadow a quarterback, it only works 50% of the time. It's not that great of a rule. So
yeah.
Anyway, even if you have a 6, containment only works half the time. Check that rule out. It's really poor. Containment is bad. Shadowing is a bad idea.
If you have a 5 linebacker, he's only going to help a third of the time, and otherwise he's out of the play.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Half the time,
that rule.
Yeah, half the time the containment doesn't even come into play, and then if it does come into play on those 50%, then it's the same. A 0 linebacker a third of the time, a 4 or 5 linebacker 2/3 of the time, a 6 linebacker all the time. But it's all the time of half the time, if that makes sense. So anyway, for my prediction, I think I can get up to 11 or 12. I think I'm going to go with 12. I think I'm around that area. Maybe 11 and 6, 12 and 5. That's what I'm shooting for.
Who do you play?
I didn't see. You've got Uzma. That'll help.
Yeah.
I saw Hawkinson, and I have him in Autumn Wind, and he's okay, but I've seen some of your teams with better tight ends than this, but they're fine for what you need them for. I
don't like the 33-yard long max for
Hawkinson.
But yeah, Uzoma can go to the house.
Yep, and I like this team pretty well. I like the 3-3-5 options you'll have with Harrison Smith able to move up, and of course 4-6 at middle linebacker for containment. You've got ways if you want to take Calais Campbell out on 3rd and forever. You've got at least another guy over there that can help a little bit more. But Judon's going to be one of the keys, obviously being a 12-9 on the defensive line. I think I might. I don't know. I wish you had a little bit better runners. I think I'm going to go 12 and 5.
Yeah, I tried to trade my backup linebacker, Sione Takitaki, for 0-9 Carlos Dunlap to have that guy to bring in on 3rd downs, but I couldn't get it done in time. So, and Dominican Sue's going to be my other outside defensive end. That means I'm going to get a lot of dump offs if I'm not bringing pressure and the matchups don't work for me.
Are Mark Ingram or Rex Burkhead any good running right? Do you have a real good running right guy?
Ingram's okay. I think I think it's Ingram or Booker, but yeah, Ingram can get you from 7 to 12. He gets you
Ooh,
plus.
that's a good one. He's got 24 combos of 1 yard or better.
Yeah, so
That's your guy. That's what I was, because I mean, with Russell being so weak on the flat, and he's great on the short, so that'll help. But you really do want to have an inside runner too,
Yeah.
for both short yardage and goal line, obviously. Okay, I'm gonna go 12 wins also.
I hope I'm hoping I'm not convincing you guys, and then I'm gonna wind up like missing the playoffs.
That's not gonna happen. Your team's you got a good team. I would normally maybe even go higher, but I think that the flat pass for Russell will be at times more annoying than you think.
Yeah, the flat pass and the lack of pass rush.
Tim knows about it.
Yeah. Michael, what do you got?
Listen, you've done more with far less than this roster. This team doesn't have hardly any deficiencies on it. I mean, you got no-name running backs, but they're still solid. And you do have those 2-4 corners, but I think your pass rush is adequate. I was going to go crazy on this, but if these guys are going 12,
go crazy. Don't let us influence you.
Because I know who this guy is.
Yeah.
I've seen him do better with less rosters than this. This roster looks great to me. You know what? I was going to pull back. I'm not 14-3.
There you go.
Right.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying we're gonna have to. We're all like wildly overboard, so there's gonna need to be some adjustments made.
Make Reeves 0 and 17 for me and call it good.
Well, I mean, I gave Nathan something lousy, so something in between. There you go. I gave Tom 8 as opposed to 9. It all works out.
Oh, we'll readjust in a minute. So, Tim, talk about your Bucks. We talked a little bit about them. Talked about the trade.
I got to play these guys.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun team to play with. I'll be honest. I'm more of a kind of looking over like a 10 or 12 year span and kind of wanting to always play for the future. I did make a couple of moves this year that I felt were more kind of to take advantage of some of the things that happened this year with Miles Sanders getting a great card, and that kind of prompted me in the Devontae Campbell trade a little bit. I probably wouldn't have traded for him if I didn't feel like I had a better team. I'd have probably said, yeah, I don't know if I'll get – because, I don't know I'll ever get another middle linebacker 6'6" out of him, but dang, that's going to be a helpful card this year. So I kind of, like say, went a little bit more into going for this year with that particular trade. But otherwise, it was pretty much a regular off season. I mean, with Javonte Williams, I really wasn't drafting him for this card. I was perfectly happy with Deontay Foreman filling kind of the third running back role because I was looking at Sanders and Darrell Williams as being my main two guys. But after I picked him and kind of, I really just need to kind of sit back and rethink my team now after, the draft and such. I did kind of felt like I could work around what I was going to do with Deontay Foreman, and I went out and dealt him for a guy I really liked at strong safety, Mike Edwards. But yeah, I felt like I had a lot of breaks this year. Sanders was lucky he was playing on a great team. Tony Pollard had just as good or better stats, but didn't get near the card Miles Sanders got. I've got some weaknesses along the offensive line. Run blocking's slightly above average, but everybody's a 5 pass blocking. It's going to hurt not having any 7s, but I'm kind of looking at – we have a lot of other weapons that may help with that. I think we'll draw some run calls when Sanders in the game for sure. Javonte Williams will draw some run calls for sure from time to time. He's one of those guys that's not very good guessed right. So, we'll have to kind of work him into situations much like we used Tevin Coleman a few years ago. Receiver spots, one of my strengths, actually. Dawson Knox is a really good tight end. It's one of those maybe not in the top 3 to 4 range, but he's right there after that group. his strength is being able to catch a lot of passes long. He doesn't necessarily have the big long gains, but just being able to catch the ball is his strength. He had bad hands when he came into the league, but he's had a good year last year. DK Metcalf is interesting. In many ways, I thought I might still start Deontay Harris, but the more I looked at it, it's like, yeah, I feel like over the long haul, I'll get more out of DK in the short game, guessed right, than the extra long gains I get with Deontay Harris. And, one of my big surprises this year, I didn't expect Ruggs to be a 4.46. I was thinking maybe 3.35 as far as his card, as far as catches. He ended up with an amazing card. So it'll be interesting, working around him. I feel like the offense will be one of the better ones, even with the offensive line not being great. Mahomes is maybe only the sixth best card in the set, but he's pretty close to like the third best guy. So, I'm not going to be weak there. This will be the best defense I've had in, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12, 15 years. I really like the defense. We're weak at defensive tackle. Derrick Brown and Roy Lopez are both fours. I decided to go 4-3 rather than play the nose tackle 0 like a lot of teams did. Part of it had to do with just the chemistry of the team. I kind of like the fact of only having to bring one linebacker to trigger the flat pass sack chance. And I've already got 3 studs on the defensive line that even if I blitz the worst, pass rushing linebacker, I've still got what would make it a 14, a 10, and a 12. So I felt like I had enough that I might not have to blitz 3 or 4 every time, this year to generate a pass rush. And Charles Harris is one of those guys, just like the 2 or 3 teams we've just looked at. Damn that asterisk one. I've got Bosa as a 12-8, and if I bring Harris, my best pass rushing linebacker, and not a guy you really want to keep around in coverage, that asterisk one's going to bring Bosa down. And I looked at it, and I was kind of thinking about it. It's like I'll get a boost of 13 if I bring Harris, and his asterisk is checked, but I'll get like a boost of 22 if I'm bringing him in. Bosa's comes up. So, there's definitely a lot of incentive just to bring him in. Oh, it's not the time you check his asterisk one. Devondre Campbell really made the linebacking crew. It was looking kind of weak going into that trade. And even if I had traded for like a 4.40, I was going to really worry about it. But with a couple of 4s at defensive tackle and a weak, being a 4-3 team and a weak linebacking crew, he's really going to make a lot of difference. Secondary is pretty average in the short zone with a 5 and 4 at corner and a 4 at strong safety. I think Amani Hooker is going to be another one of those kind of nice weapons. In a way, my defense is going to look a lot like Ed, being a 4-3 team with, 6 in the middle and a 6 at free safety. So there'll be some similarities to the 49ers defense, I think. Special teams is not great. Koo is solid. Anger is a great punter, but our punt return games, it's got a great name, Deontay Harris, but pretty average cards. It's probably one of the better teams I've had, though, and it's obviously going to be a lot of fun. There's definitely some flaws, but kind of like the depth on the team. If we have an injury or 2, it's not really going to kill us. We've got like 7 cornerback 4s or defensive back 4s, so unless it's Hooker that gets hurt, I could probably survive an injury or 2. So I do like the team, but it's going to depend on how well the offensive line plays in a lot of senses.
What's your feeling, Tim, on your record?
I don't know. It's going to be close to probably 12-5, maybe.
Yeah, it's a really strong team, and that combo of having Miles Sanders with Patrick Mahomes, that's like lethal. Nathan, you have Miles Sanders in a couple leagues. Who are your quarterbacks in those leagues?
I have Goff and SOMIFA with Miles Sanders. That's the only one I've got him in, but I've got a ton of backs in that league. I've got Dearness Johnson and Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers. I got a bunch of guys.
Yeah, so that's having that combo. I think that's just going to make Mahomes even better. So I'm going to go with 13 and 4. Nathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I like 13-4 also. I really do like that you went out and solidified the middle. If you're going to run a 4-3, picking up a sixth linebacker is a really big deal, like I said a couple times now. Because they can really pick on you in a 3-receiver set if they can get you into a 0 nose tackle and a 4 or 0 middle linebacker. It's just too much to deal with sometimes. Your line could use some pass blocking, but I honestly think that you're the type of coach that isn't going to let people tee off on you anyway. You're going to run. You're going to mix the flats in, and I like the balance of the offense, especially for how I think you're probably going to use it.
Yeah, I almost traded for Devondre Campbell too. I thought about offering my first, just like you did, but I decided against it in the end. But I think it's a great move for you. I really love that, and he very well could give you a couple more really solid cards. Whether it's a 6 again, maybe not, but it'll be good. So, Michael, what do you got for the record?
I like 12-5 too, but I could see them exceeding that. And I like what Nathan said about mixing in flats. And last year wouldn't have been worth it, but Mahomes' flat pass card is better this year, so
It's a very balanced card.
Yeah, finally, so he can incorporate that as well. So I mean, I could see them eclipsing 12-5, but I think 12-5 is a safe play.
All right. Well, Mick, when you get up in the morning, you can fast forward to this spot because we're about to wrap things up by talking about your team. Nathan, you good to break down the Titans?
Yep. I did a quick look over, and I wasn't thrilled with what I saw. The drop-off from the Pittsburgh offense to this one doesn't have me very excited. Heineke and Taylor, they don't look so – or, sorry, Lawrence. They don't look so great. Damian Harris, I believe, has another decent card, right?
He does.
His card's good.
I mean, he was really good last year. It looks he's solid again this year. I like Harris. I wanted to draft him, but never got a hold of him. Receivers, they don't look too. They're definitely not the type of receivers I generally like either. Not scary like another one of those teams where I would like one of those guys to be like a big yardage guy, but I don't think these guys are, unless I just haven't noticed it yet.
No, nobody's right.
Don't believe the tight ends are too scary either.
No, it's that this offense is going to struggle.
Yeah, the line. You get some run blocking there. It's a little weak too on the pass blocking. Fortunately, people may not guess pass that often against you. So it's definitely a team that still looks like it's rebuilding a little bit. Maybe another year away. He does coach well. I do like. I mean, the running back usually is one of the things that will bump a team up. How many games am I over right now? Because I'm about to hammer this one, I think.
You are right now.
I got to be waiting. I'm like probably impossible.
Yeah, 20, and you're 20, 19. You're like 37 games over 500.
Okay, go ahead and make Tennessee 0-37 for me.
It doesn't quite work.
I'm gonna go 3 wins. He's a good coach. He does have a running back, and that's probably enough for 3 wins. But there's not a whole lot else I like here, at least this year.
Defense is a 3-4, and it's full of 4s and 0s with a 6 and 3 safety. Derwin James can't do everything himself, so he does have a decent line. It's 4-5, 5-4, 4-7, but that's
I mean that's the top of the. There's no real pass blocking there either. So.
All right. Well, I'll go 5 and 12. I haven't had one of those yet. So, Tim, what do you got?
I'm going to go 3 and 14. It's going to be a hard year, I think, for Mick. He's got a few things that are okay, but there's just not enough of them, and they're not the ones that are decent aren't at important enough positions.
All right, Michael.
This is another club that is going to be the underdog in just about every game he's going to play, and there'll be coin flip games, but not enough of them. But he is a good coach, and if there's anybody who can eke out wins with that club, it could be him. But I'd probably lean on 4 and 13.
Okay. All right, so let's start with Tim on the rebalancing. You are only 8 games off, 8 games over. So if you just take away 4 wins, you'll be set. So
Okay, let's see.
I'm only off by 18. That's pretty good. Jesus.
Oh, well, Tim's thinking, I'm going to take away one win from these 14 win teams. And
I'm
I'm
going to
gonna take a win away here for me and Ed, and take a win away from Dale. Okay, tell me what you got, Tim. Who?
Yeah, I'm going to take one off of Minnesota. I'll take one off of Houston.
I'll do the same.
I'm going to take one off of Cincinnati.
I'll do the same. And just one more.
How
about one off me, Tim? Take me down.
Nah,
Take me down. Oh.
I want to knock one of the wins off one of the teams with 11 or more, but I think I'm going to leave all those.
How about one off of Bob? Bust him down.
Okay, that's probably a good idea. He had a good draft, though.
Yeah, he did. He did. I'm excited about that. All right, I am going to get mine in order. I'll take one more away from Ron. Just see he gets diced a couple times. Take one more against Tim. I think you'll get diced a couple times. And let me finish it up with Green Bay. Get him down to 9-8. And finally, Cincinnati. I'll even go one more. I'm going to go 5-12. Okay, I'm all set. So now we want to do the hard job, Nathan, or the easy job?
I got it.
Michael?
I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
One off Arizona.
Okay.
One off Buffalo. One off Chicago. One off Cincy. One off Cleveland. You hear that, Michael? Then I'm taking one off Dallas. It's against my better judgment since he's never probably had a record below 500. I want one off Vegas and one off the Chargers.
Okay. All right, let's get you. Need 5 more.
What the hell? I thought that's all I needed. All right, one off Miami.
Miami.
He needs 10 more, doesn't he?
No,
but
cut in half.
Yeah, I think that's right. Maybe I'm wrong.
Let's screw Tom. Take one off him.
Okay.
Jets.
I think maybe you're right. Maybe it is 10 more. I don't know. I think it was 20 off. I think you're right. It was 10 more.
Yeah, I think we have to get to 204 wins.
Yeah, so you have 8 more to go.
What's some of those 13-4, and you'd be halfway there?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Take one off my team, Atlanta. Take one more off Arizona, too. My big, bold prediction doesn't make sense anymore.
All right. So
Close
6
enough.
more.
Oh,
6 more.
I give up. I don't
Minnesota?
know. I love Minnesota.
How about Houston? Paul.
Yeah, I think I overcredited Paul's team, too. Take 2 off Paul. No, take 1 off Paul. I can't possibly see him only winning 6. Take 1 off Tennessee. Should have gone with 0-37, but make him 2 now.
Okay.
Work on Michael for a minute. I'll come back.
Michael, what you got?
Take 2 off the Giants.
Okay.
Take 1 off Miami.
Yeah.
Take 1 off Seattle. My incredibly bold prediction.
Sounds good.
3 more.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I'll look around.
Okay, take 1 of mine off Pittsburgh, just because of that secondary.
3 more. 3,
Jesus. Take another 1 off the Chargers because he wouldn't trade me Debo.
Payback, baby.
Take 1 off the Rams
Okay.
because he wouldn't let me have the team.
There you go. 1 more.
Michael, are you going to start Jameis Winston or Jared Goff?
You'll find out.
He's got Jameis in there.
I'm going to leave him. Let's do 1 more off Cincinnati.
All right. You
Chalk
are
it up
set.
to the interim coach.
Perfect.
Not knowing
Michael.
the team as well.
Take 1 off Vegas.
Okay. 2 more.
Take 1 off Tennessee.
All right. The last one.
And oh, you guys aren't going to like this. Take 1 off Cleveland.
Boo.
Sam.
You think you're going to go 8 and 9?
Watch me.
All right, guys. Well, great.
All right.
We got a latecomer here. I'm not sure who this is,
It's M.
but M.
It's
All
a
right,
James-
everybody.
it's a James Bond character.
Right, 00. I'm going to go 00 and 17 on the year if I'm not careful. But everybody, thanks very much for participating. Thanks for watching. And I'll post this stuff on the forum. And Ed has already sent out the kickoff email, so get to scheduling your games, guys. Let's do this.
Hey, Dennis. Thanks for putting this together. It was fun hanging out with you guys tonight. Good luck this year.
And thanks for staying up late. I appreciate it.
See you guys
All right.
later.
Y'all
Sure.
take care.
Take care.